This is our trophy case. We have 2 NBA titles and 1 Executive of the Year award. That is through 9 total seasons. And right here is a breakdown of how we have done through those 9 years. What has been the result of these 9 seasons. You can see right here that we have only missed the postseason 1 time in our first 9 years. That was back in year 2 when we ended up with the number 6 overall pick, where we took Simon Anderson. But in years 1 and 3, we made the play-in, did not make the playoffs. Years 4 and 5 we did, and we bowed out in rounds 2 and then round 1, respectively. We lost in round 1 in year 6. We came back a couple of different times in year 7 for one of the most exciting playoff runs of all time. In year 8, we lost in 7 in the WCF to San Antonio, and we are coming off a sweep in the finals over St. Louis. That is what we have done. That's what we have accomplished. But what are we going to add to our trophy case at the end of it all? Because we are going to circle back to this at the very end of the episode to see how did the simming go? How did we do? What did we add? Were we better in the first decade or the second one? Well, we have to get started to find out. But before we do that, we have to take a look at our salary cap breakdown going into the year 9 off season, because going forward, we have a lot of guys to pay. Because this year is when Joel Carney becomes a restricted free agent, and Todd Graves will do the same next year as well. So those 2 guys are going to be getting paid this year and next year, and we're already paying massive contracts to Tyrese Halliburton, Anderson, and Don Payne. And Vando also has that mid-level exception deal, about $14 million a season. So a lot of guys are getting money. We do have team options for Garrison Best coming up and for Clint Booker down the line, and 1 more team option year for Graves. But these next 2 years, we are shelling out a lot of money to keep the core around this team. So with that being said, the first order of business is to pick up the player options, or team options rather, for Todd Graves and Garrison Best right here. And we also are going to extend a qualifying offer to Joel Carney just to make sure that we can match any offer sheet given to him before we have the chance to re-sign him. And that would be our first go-to move in the actual offseason, is to give him a 4-year rookie deal extension worth $117 million. So Joel Carney gets paid. He's going to be getting about $30 million a year, or just below that. So massive deal for him to be one of our primary scorers. And I imagine with simming, he might actually have more points per game than Anderson does. And by the way, we do skip the draft because we had no draft picks at all this draft, so we're not going to focus on that at all. And going forward, we are going to hand over all of the rotation decisions and scouting stuff. That is all going to go to the CPU starting this season. But besides that, we bring in Keon Murphy again on a 1-year, $3 million deal to return to the team. And we also give Jacques Sene a 2-year, $16 million contract to join us. He used to play for the Cavaliers. Not only that, but Azette was also brought back on a 1-year, $2.5 million deal to return to his home team. Now briefly, top signings around the league. Jabari Smith Jr. heads to San Antonio. Jalen Green heads to the Rockets. Alex Barker heads to Golden State. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is leaving San Antonio to head to the Atlanta Hawks. So the Spurs are going to lose that dynamic duo. That duo that gave us problems that we also overcame a couple of times. And Calvin Gordon's going to be now in the Spurs team with Jabari Smith by his side down there in that low post. And to round out our roster, we ended up signing Achua, Lambros Dorakis, and Ron Baxter and PJ Washington to pick up those last 4 spots on the roster. They all got vet minimum contracts. For player progression, here's what we got. Just a very brief look. A couple guys go up with Halliburton, Graves, and Joel Carney especially getting better shooting and defense and playmaking. Basketball IQ as well goes up. Don Payne essentially stays the same, as do a couple of different players. looks like Graves and Carney have probably reached their peak. Carney might have one more year of growth, but Graves might have just reached his peak in his career. So we'll see what happens there. And going into year 10, here is the rotation that the CPU has drawn up with BJ Cooper as our head coach. Halliburton, Carney, Anderson, Vando, Payne, your starting five as per usual, with Graves, Murphy off the bench, along with Garrison, Best, Jacksonet, and Achua. So Zet won't get playing time initially, but with injuries, he'll probably step in. And before we start the year, a very important thing to get done before we kick off year 10. That is to re-sign Anderson and Tyrese Halliburton. So we're going to extend them. And we get a deal done with Anderson for 4 years and $189 million, while we also give a deal to Tyrese Halliburton for 4 years, $192 million. Massive deals for them, but they are the key to this team. They're the core players. And only 3 games into year 10, Anderson does sprain his ankle and he will miss the first month of the year after those first couple of games. But he does return after a couple of weeks to an 11-4 record. A great job by this team to win games, keep things going without him on the court. That shows that we have a really good roster that can step in for injured players when that happens. He also jumped in during the middle of a win streak, which would end up extending all the way to 14 games and would only be snapped by a 4-point loss to, guess who? The San Antonio Spurs. But by the 1st of January, we would have a 29-6 record on the year. One of our better starts, maybe our best start ever in a season. And we only had one All-Star this year, and that was Tyrese Halliburton, because Anderson was not eligible because he missed about a month of the first half of the year. So did not play enough games to get eligible for that. But Halliburton is an All-Star. And at the All-Star break, we did have a record of 47-10. An absolutely insane start to the year. Brief stats at the All-Star break as well. Joe Carney, 24 points per game, shooting lights out. Anderson, 22.6. I did think that Carney would have a better simming career than Anderson does, because he just seems to take a bit more shots than Anderson does, and just sims a bit better, just barely, but they are pretty similar players. But Tyrese Halliburton, 18-9 on the year. Garrison Best, 13 points per game. Todd Graves, about 11. And Don Payne averaging about 10-10. Because the CPU likes to give him less minutes than I usually would. We jump all the way to late in the year. And in March, it would be Joe Carney now suffering a right ankle sprain, which will knock him out for about a month and a half. And so we're going to have to rebound from that. But that's not the only injury that we suffer, because Tyrese Halliburton also picks up one to knock him out for about a month. Left knee tendonitis, and he's done for 4 to 6 weeks. And right after this, that would snap. Those injuries would snap. A 24-game winning streak that would stretch all the way back to February 3rd. An absolutely insane stretch of games that injuries end up ending for us. But we head into the postseason with a record of 70-12. And here are the awards for this. Jabari Smith Jr. wins MVP over in San Antonio alongside Calvin Gordon. Yuri Ostrovsky ends up winning Rookie of the Year. Doug Strickland, 6th Man of the Year. Gordon Dunn, Depoy. Travis Ellis, Most Improved Player over in Dallas. And BJ Cooper wins Coach of the Year thanks to that 70-12 record. And as per usual, the NBA decided to give us no All-NBA players at all on any team at all ever. So nobody on the All-NBA teams, nobody on the All-Defense teams. We had no rookies, so nobody on there either. But a 70-12 season, 38-3 at home, absolutely insane. 32-9 on the road, just below 117 points per game. Our best offensive year possibly ever, I would have to imagine, the 70-win season. So just a great overall year here in year 10. And here are your player stats. Carney ends up dropping 24.7 points per game. Anderson just below 24 points per game. Tyrese Halliburton 18-9. Garrison Best, 13 points per game, along with 2 boards, 2 assists. Todd Graves, 11. Don Payne goes up to above 10 and 10. Azette with about 8 off the bench and about 14 games played. And overall, it was a really, really great year. Our best record of all time. In the first round, our opponent would be the Portland Trail Blazers as the 8th seed. We are, of course, the 1. No doubt about that. And so this is who we face in the first round. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Tyrese Halliburton and Carney do both return for Game 1, luckily for us, so we can adjust the roster and put those guys back in. And Carney and Halliburton do show up for Game 1, and we do end up sweeping them 4-0. We took Game 1 in a very high-scoring affair where Anderson drops 32 points, Carney drops 26, Halliburton and Graves also drop 20+, and we get good days from several key players overall. The Trailblazers had 21 and 9 from Rodney Rice, but it was not enough. We then took Game 2 by 14, where Anderson once again leads the way, and Carney and Graves once again provide some nice offense alongside him. Halliburton 16 and 9, Don Payne 6 and 11. A lot of guys getting playing time, unfortunately. Highland 23 points for the Trailblazers, but again, they're just not putting up the numbers on offense. Game 3 was a lot closer, where Bones drops 23 again for Portland, but again, only one guy is really putting up good numbers for them on the offensive end, while the Woodsmen got 22 from Carney, 20 from Graves. Both guys having really good series so far on the offensive end. A bit of an off day for Anderson. Halliburton not taking too many shots in this one, but he did not have to, and we take this one by 4. And we complete the sweep by sending them home in Game 4 by a score of 112-95. Kelly drops 21, but the Woodsmen get 34, 10, and 6 from Anderson to send the Trailblazers packing. Halliburton drops 27 and 7, while Carney also keeps things going, and Don Payne drops a double-double. In round 2, it would be another matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves, so we have plenty of history with, and this is their roster. They still have Cortez, Jaylen Brown, Mikal Bridges, Jerbat, and Gafford, pretty similar starting 5 to the last time we saw them. And they, of course, also have Byron Wellington. So what's going to happen here in round 2? Let's sim through it. Vancouver takes Game 1 by a very slim margin, just a 2-point win in a very low-scoring affair. Anderson drops 28, but everybody else had trouble finding the net, while the Timberwolves got 18 for Gafford, but nobody else really did a whole lot, and it was a very low-scoring game, 86-84, but we come out on top with us only shooting 37%. Halliburton leads the way in Game 2, and things go a whole lot better, where he drops 37 and 7. Anderson drops 26. Carney drops 20+. Graves a great job off the bench, and Payne a double-double. That's what you expect from all of your key players. All these guys are now untouchables on the roster. These are the only 5 untouchable guys on this team, and they have provided a lot of the stuff here in Game 2. Henderson drops 22 for Minnesota, but the offense for us was just too much for them to handle. The Woodsmen then take Game 3 by 11 points by a score of 122-111. Jaylen Brown puts together his best game of the series to this point. Cortez as well. But the Woodsmen come out on top behind 30 points from Simon Anderson and 22 and 12 from Tyrese Halliburton and double figures from Carney, Best, Graves, and Don Payne. And with one win left to push us forward, we do exactly that, winning in another low-scoring game. Brown drops 22, but him, Gafford, and Henderson led the way for Minnesota, but it just was not enough. Nobody else had any real contributions. Mikal Bridges only had 5 points, and the Woodsmen got 22, 6, and 8 for Anderson, 25, and 6 for Halliburton, and that was all we needed, really, to come out on top and complete our second straight sweep to start this playoff run in year 10. And after we sweep the Timberwolves, we have to wait for this matchup. Lakers, Spurs on the other side of the WCF bracket. It is currently tied 2-2 as the Lakers are coming off a 1-point win in Game 4. but it's time to sim to see what happens. Are we going to face the Spurs for the 4th year in a row in the Western Conference Finals? And the answer is yes, as they do end up winning against Los Angeles in 7 games. We have once again matched up with them to see who can take home the Western Conference title. And here is their updated lineup. It looks like Jabari Smith is going to miss the postseason because he is hurt, but they still have Anthony Simons. They still have Josh Christopher. Matthew Jameson's now starting. They got Ellis Wright the 4th off the bench in place of Smith as that starting power forward. So still a really strong starting 5 with Calvin Gordon in there. They still have Tommy Sanders off the bench. They've brought in Donnie Smart and Jabari Walker. So they're definitely going to miss Jabari Smith being hurt. But this is still a pretty damn good team. And so we start off by simcasting the first game. Vancouver off to a really good start after that first quarter, which the Spurs won. We rebound back in the second, and we hold on to win the rest of the way, end up winning by 20 points. Anderson drops 35, 4 and 4 to say hello again to San Antonio and say, you guys messed up trying to meet us here for the 4th straight year. Carney, an amazing day. Halliburton, same story. The Spurs got 31 and 12 from Calvin Gordon and 23 from Ellis Wright the 4th and 15 from Donnie Smart. In fact, their entire starting lineup played pretty well, but the bench unit, only 3 guys really off the bench, didn't really do a whole lot except for Donnie Smart. In Game 2, Vancouver jumps out to an early first half lead, leading by 13 after 1 and only making it even bigger by halftime, blowing out the Spurs. This game's already a wash, even though the Spurs do have a good third quarter, dropping 41, but down by too much. There's no room to make a comeback, and it's because Joel Carney apparently just dropped 43 points in the playoffs, and Anderson dropped 41. Dual 40-point games for our star guard duo. Halliburton's also part of a star guard duo, but Carney is now a star player. You can see it now. 43 points for him on fantastic shooting. Anderson, same story. Garrison Best was great off the bench, and we dropped just below 140 points. Wow, what a game. Calvin Gordon drops 24. Simons drops 21. Nobody played horribly for San Antonio, but their defense overall was awful. Ellis Wright drops 29 for San Antonio. Calvin Gordon only 15 points on 8 shots. But the Woodsmen got 28 from Carney, 27 for Anderson, and double figures from Best and Halliburton to round out the win. And that is going to do it, folks. The Woodsmen have once again punched their ticket to the NBA Finals, their 2nd year in a row, and their 3rd in 4 seasons. We sweep the Spurs once again. They will stay here in San Antonio. We will head back to Vancouver to host games 1 and 2 to start the NBA Finals in 2032. This is what dynasties are made of. Our 3rd Western Conference Championship in 4 seasons. Another trophy to add to our trophy case. Halliburton lifts the trophy in jubilation. And we are headed back to the finals. Calvin Gordon tried his best in Game 4, but 32 and 14 was not enough. Ellis Wright played very well, but the Woodsmen played better. 33, 7 and 5 for Anderson, and 25 for Joel Carney. And a nice double-double once again for Don Payne, who considerably plays well against Gordon almost every time they face off. And our opponent in the finals, is it a rematch against the Cavaliers from a couple years back when we came from behind, the greatest comeback in the history of any sport ever? Or is it going to be Doncic and the Brooklyn Nets? Let's find out. It is. Well, we don't know yet, but Anderson wins Western Conference Finals MVP. He dropped 34 points per game, 6 rebounds and 4 assists, along with 2 steals, so a lot more defensive stuff there as well, and he shot extremely well from the field. Great to get this guy some more hardware. He needs it. And it is going to be Luka and the Nets that we face off against. We have rarely seen us play the Nets in this series, so this is going to be pretty fun. And here's this Brooklyn roster. They've got Luka, Shadon Sharpe, their dynamic duo, Francis Steele, Reed Sullivan, Andre Nelson, KPJ off the bench, Willis Sanders, Mitch Byers. They got a fairly deep team. Not as deep as us, though, but a fairly deep team. A pretty solid starting five, I'd say. One of the best players of all time. And here we go. The 2 seed from the East and the 1 seed in the entire league. We have not lost a playoff game yet. 12-0 so far. Brooklyn has won all of their series in 6 games, so they have a lot more games under their belt. But here we go. It is the finals. Let's see what happens. In game 1, the Woodsmen get off to a hot start there in the first quarter, and we're keeping it going here in the second, out to a pretty solid first half lead at the break. Even stuff here in the third, but the Nets are sticking with us now. A very even contest heading into the fourth quarter. We're going to jump in here in a moment to watch the winning minutes of this contest to see who can come out on top. The Nets lead 88-87, 5:05 to go. Let's see what happens. We jump with Sharpe at the charity stripe to knock down the final free throw of his stint. 5:05 to go and counting. He's got 26 points, and we are down by 2. Anderson down low against Andre Nelson. He throws it up and ties things up at 89 points apiece. He's got 35, 14 for 26 from the field. Porter blocked by Halliburton, right to the hands of Vanderbilt. Up to Graves. His jumper is good, and Vancouver takes a lead very swiftly. Defense to offense. That is what we are built on, folks. Porter, bounce pass. Nice feed to Sanders. And then Best turns it over. What was that pass? He was trying to find Graves down low. Luka to KPJ. Over Halliburton. He will knock it down, and the Nets will take that lead right back. 19 turnovers for them. 15 for us. But luckily, they have barely scored off our turnovers hardly at all. Only 2 off of our 15. We have 10 off their 19. Anderson misfires there. I'm very concerned as to why Best is even in this game, as Graves just picks the pocket of Shadon Sharpe. Defense to offense. Can Halliburton complete the play? He reset the offense. I imagine Carney is fouled out or something. Maybe he's at the scores table, as Halliburton can't stuff it in. Nelson was there and he missed the dunk. The Nets still lead by 2. Just over 2.5 to play. Might bring in Carney here in a moment. Or at least somebody else. We don't have a big out there. We have Vanderbilt playing center right now. That's not the game plan. Porter, step back jumper. That one's good. I'm calling timeout. Todd Graves, the triple off the timeout. It's in there. It's a 1-point contest. Don Payne is fouled out, so Keegan Murphy will come in to play center for the rest of this game. The Nets call timeout as well. 2:06 to go, and apparently Don Payne fouled out with only 14 minutes of action. 6 fouls in 14 minutes. I just checked the box score. So Murphy has had a lot of playing time this game because of that. That could be a big reason why this game is as close as it is, as KPJ lost the handle. He gets back to it. Shot clock winding down. Sharpe steps back and cans a 3. What a play. 29 now for him. Can the Woodsmen clutch up here in these final moments? Lob attempt is there for Ron Baxter, who is rarely played this year, but he's playing in crunch time now. But why? Where's Vanderbilt? Well, now Baxter checks out as Zet checks back in, as does Vanderbilt. Todd Graves takes a seat as that layup is in there, and that is Reed Sullivan. The Nets have shot a lot better here in the second half. 10% better than back in the first. Still a 4-point game. Need some stops and a couple of buckets. Azette the triple. That one drops nothing but net. You can see Payne on the bench getting fired up. 1-point game. Need to stop here. Sharp finds KPJ, top of the key, and that one's catch too. Wide open shot. Anderson attacks the rim. Hesitates, finds Murphy. His jump shot is good. We're still in this. And now a turnover as Vanderbilt jumps the pass off of Porter. A bad idea right there. Anderson then throws it right to him. What are we doing? Horrible mistake. And now we get it back. Fast break. Anderson all the way. He's fouled. These free throws could tie it up if both are good. What a last couple of moments, everybody. High octane action. The first free throw is up and in there for number 5. And we're going to bring in somebody else in place of Azette. Why are we making so many subs? The second free throw is up and good. Ice in his veins. All tied up at 103. 25 seconds left. Steal inbounds to Sharp. Can we get a stop here? Durakis, who's only 6 foot, is guarding him. Why is this the sub that we just made for this matchup? They're going to save for the final shot. We have to get a switch or get a big man down low right now. We cannot let Sharp attack this. And Vanderbilt stops Sullivan. We're going to get it back with 6 on the clock. Jared Vanderbilt once again makes a absolute staple play in his career. What a play at the rim. Matt Sullivan right there at the peak of that shot. Who do we go to for our final look? Graves comes back in. Vando inbounds. Anderson gets the ball. He attacks, and he's fouled by Steele again. And these free throws should put us ahead with 3.7 on the clock. MVP chance for Anderson. The first free throw is up. In good. There's the lead. The Nets have no more timeouts left. We got a full court press no matter what happens. The second free throw is up. And it's good as well. We don't full court press. We don't even half court press. It's a half-court shot. Porter missed it, and Vancouver steals game 1, coming from behind in the fourth quarter. What a way to end that game. Simon Anderson clutch plays. Vanderbilt a clutch stop. Azette a big 3. Everybody gets involved. Anderson drops 39 points in game 1. This guy needs to win his first finals MVP. I beg of you, please, give this guy his first Bill Russell MVP. His first Bill Russell trophy. Come on, he needs it. Sharp drops 29. Luka drops 18 and 12, but it just was not enough. We eke out a win here, but we do have bad news. Joel Carney tears his left elbow ligament. He is done for the season. And the CPU wants to put in Omer Azette, but I'm going to put in Todd Graves right now because I don't think that's the right move. I think it needs to be Todd Graves. But Azette can sure as hell play off the bench 24 minutes, I'm sure. That sounds fine to me. In game 2, also at home. Another fairly close first half. Back and forth here in the quarter. The third quarter, much of the same. But the Nets jump out ahead, putting together a really strong defensive and offensive overall quarter. We're going to head to the fourth down by a couple. Another close finish in this one, I bet. The Nets hanging on to a slim lead. A couple minutes to go. Let's see how this one wraps up. 4:03 left. 2-point contest. We jump in. Don Payne at the charity stripe for one more free throw. It's up and good. 1 point game. 92-93. They have the ball. Doncic at the rim. Got it over Halliburton. Tough matchup for him. He's got 31 points. It might be worth putting Todd Graves on him once he comes back in. I haven't game planned for anything here, so it's kind of just seeing what happens. Don Payne gets aggressive, and he'll score easily. Nelson not even putting a hand up there at all. Luka penetrates, back out to Porter. Nice pass, but a missed shot. Lucky break for us. That was wide open. Off the screen. Halliburton finds an open look, but he missed it. Payne follows the shot and pulls it down for 2, and Vancouver jumps ahead by 1. Shadon Sharp almost turns it over. Nelson gets it and just scores right off it. Wow. Halliburton finds Anderson. Long 2, a bit contested, not going to drop. Steal to Sharp. Top of the key triple. Not going to drop. Vanderbilt pulls it down. Here we go. Down by 1. What do we draw up here? Under 2 minutes to play here in game 2. Halliburton. Back to Payne. Open jumper. He'll knock it down. Yes, sir. The Nets call timeout. They have 1 left. Screen for Luka. He takes it down low, and Vanderbilt gets another stop. He always comes up big, man, all the time. Halliburton, back to Graves, open 3, not going to drop. The Nets have a second chance. Uh-oh, Sharp crosses the court, but Luka's going to fire, and his shot's going to rattle home. 33 now for Luka. Halliburton leads us with 25 right now, 9 for 15 from the field. Todd Graves, second try from deep. There it is! A 2-point lead for your Woodsmen. Less than 55 seconds to go. High screen for Luka. He penetrates down low. Payne's there, but the shot's going to fall anyways. We call a timeout and a tie ball game once again. 40 seconds to play. We inbound to Halliburton. Gotta get a bucket here. It's absolutely crucial to winning this game. Halliburton has a lane, finds Graves wide open. His 3's not gonna drop. Was that a mistake by Halliburton? It just might be. 4 seconds separate the shot and game clock. The Woodsmen need a stop here. And they're gonna drain it for as long as they can. Sharp's going to cross the court. He's going to have a decent look. No, he's not. Never mind. He'll fire anyways. And it's good with 4 seconds left. We call a timeout to advance the ball. Vanderbilt will inbound. We go to Anderson. He's going to shoot the 3. It's off the mark, and the Nets steal game 2. A close one once again, but this time they're the ones who come out on top. Shadon Sharp, the game winner with 4.3 seconds left. Wow. We've got a fun series on our hands here, folks. 2 very close games. Both teams take either one. The Nets come out on top by 2 in game 2. Halliburton drops 24, Payne 21 and 15. Anderson not as effective at all. Less than half the points he had in game 1. The Nets got 35 from Luka and a game winner and 15 points from Shadon Sharp. Our first game in Brooklyn on the road in game 3. First one of the finals. We go to the second half. It's always back and forth right now with these two teams. Nothing is separating them besides one singular shot. We have been in control for most of this game, at least holding on to a brief lead, or a slim lead rather. In the fourth quarter, we're trying to increase it, but the Nets are sticking around, not going away. And now they take the lead late in the game. We're going to jump in, tied at 96 with 2:30 to go. These two teams are dead even with Joel Carney being out, obviously. We jump in. The Nets have the ball. We got better there. I got to call timeout. Luka for three. Not going to drop. But Nelson pulls down the board. Murphy fouled him. We got to bring in the other starters. Are we going to? I don't know if we are. But the granny shot's not going to fall for Nelson. What in the world is this? Granny shot in the finals? Brother, come on. Nets lead by 1. No change here. I'm calling time out to bring in the starters. I'm assuming Payne is probably fouled out, and that's why he's not out there. As for Halliburton, not entirely sure. But I'll bring it up, and then I'll call timeout. Well, Payne has fouled out. 6 fouls in 23 minutes, and Halliburton played only 8, so I'm assuming that he's hurt and done for the game. So another big injury to our team, and it comes in the finals. We lost Carney and him to end the season before the playoffs. Now it's happened again in the finals, of all places for it to happen. Really, man. Come on. We got to rely on Garrison Best now as a starting point guard to help us out here. But Graves, Vanderbilt, Murphy, Anderson, it comes down to those 3 to 4 guys as we turn it over. Come on, not again. It's every game. Luka, another miss, and Murphy pulls it down this time. Anderson, ISO mode against Nelson at the rim. Can't finish. Great stop. That's actually steal on the stop there, but a great job to stay in front of him, I guess. Brooklyn hangs on. Luka, how is that even a pass? That's not a real pass, is it? No way. Best to Graves. His triple, not gonna fall. Why is it always him taking these last second shots? Give it to Anderson. And now another bucket falls. That was Nelson that time. The Nets lead by 6, under a minute to go. We're on the brink of losing game 3. Garrison Best goes to Graves again. Why is it always him? Make the pass to your better shooter, for Christ's sake. And we have to foul. This game's over. The clock winds down here in game 3, and the Nets will take a 2-1 lead here in the NBA Finals, and injuries are now a major concern for this 70-12 Woodsman team. Can we overcome them to take down Luka and the Brooklyn Nets? We got to keep going to find out. The Nets outscore us by 11 to essentially come back and win, but it was a very close game the entire way through. We held on to a lead for most of it, but then just could not keep it up in the fourth quarter without a couple of key guys on the court. Shadon Sharp drops 23, 10, and 7. A lot of guys in double figures for Brooklyn. The Woodsmen got 29 for Anderson, 20 for Graves, but really not a whole lot from anybody else. And Best was 1 for 13, man. God, that's killer. And just like Joel Carney, Halliburton's year is done. A right ankle sprain will end his season. And I think we got to start somebody else besides Best, because he cannot guard Luka. And we got to start Todd Graves. We know that much. But we got to put somebody else in a point guard at this point. Maybe Azette. I think Azette plays point. And we have Graves come in as well. Where's Graves? Is he already started? No, he's not. There he is. Jesus Christ. All right. Graves comes in for shooting guard. Azette we're going to put as the point, I guess. That's the best I can reasonably come up with here. And I think we just go with this and see what happens. But this is bad, man. This is bad. It's June 5th. And it's time for Game 4, our second one on the road in a row. Trying to avoid going down 3-1 to Brooklyn. And we have just stormed out of this second quarter to jump ahead. And we're going to lead at halftime by 11 points. Really good job there in the second. The third quarter, back and forth. Both teams just battling. We're hanging on to a lead right now, but another close fourth quarter, it seems like. We're out in front so far. Can we hang on to win it? 1:35 to go. 5-point game. We're going to have to jump in and just watch the last couple of moments of this contest, folks. We're trying to tie this series back up. And once again, I don't see Payne out there. Don't tell me that he's fouled out again. Don't tell me this. 29 minutes for him and only 3 fouls. So why is he not out here? I'm calling timeout. I'm sorry, but our best players have to be on the court. I see Jacques Sané out there and Vanderbilt. What are these lineups that we're doing here? What are these lineups? Calling timeout. That was our last one. But we're up by 5. I feel pretty comfortable here. But we have to bring in our starters, man. We can't jump in and have a couple of backups out there in the most important moments of the contest. Anderson's the inbound man. And he finds Payne. All right. Lizette is the point guard, but he's not a point guard at all. Let's see what happens. I don't want Graves taking any clutch shots right now because I've already seen it way too many times. But he is fouled by Sharp here, so a lucky break for us. And free throws coming up for Todd. 11 points tonight. 5 for 11 shooting. First free throw's good. The second one is left short, though. 6-point game, still some time left for Brooklyn. It's not over yet. Sharp backing down Vando. He fades away and just missed the shot. It rolls out of the rim. Wow, that was almost good. Anderson, open triple. Not going to drop it. Payne tips it in. That might be the dagger. Can the Nets score 9 unanswered points or even 8 to force overtime these last 53 seconds? I highly doubt it. APJ to Sharp. He fires a 3, and that one's good. It's not over yet. It's back to 5. They're going to double team Azette. He finds Anderson, but it goes through his hands. What was that? Huge mistake. And we give it right back to Brooklyn with plenty of time. I can't believe that just happened. It is just so costly. Luka, guarded by Anderson. He finds KPJ. Sharp, guarded by Graves. Takes the screen, fires again, but it's not going to drop. Payne's there for the board, and he's fouled by Andre Nelson. That'll put us in a bonus now. These free throws might secure the win if he can knock down both, but we know how Payne is. He's kind of wishy-washy from here. And the first one is off the mark. Can he knock down the second? Yes. The Nats use their final timeout to advance the ball. The Nats have taken already 6 seconds off the clock here, and Sharp cans a 3. Are you serious? 3-point game. They're going to have to foul again. Just going to hit one free throw and it's over. It's going to be Azette taking the free throws this time. Can he knock them down? Does he have the ice in his veins? Azette, one of the franchise mainstays. He's been here for all but one season of his entire career. And now he's got a huge moment here in the finals. The free throws are good. We lead by 5. Azette's story is actually kind of beautiful. He's been a bench player for almost his entire career. A couple of starts. They just hit a 3 again. It's not over. 2-point game. 8 seconds left. Azette will again have charity stripe shots. Porter hugs him for like 8 seconds. Come on, relax. More ice, Azette. More ice. The first one falls. This one should put an end to things. It's up. And it's good. Porter, hands off. Sullivan jacks it up. It's off, and Vancouver takes game 4 to tie it up at 2 games apiece. We're going back home with a chance to take a 3-2 series lead. Every game has come down to the wire. Shadon Sharp drops a triple-double in the loss. Luka has a great day. KPJ plays phenomenally. 3 great days from 3 different players for Brooklyn. But 33, 9, and 5 from Anderson, 22 from Payne, and double figures from Azette, Graves, and Achua were all we needed to come out on top. But a couple of big plays down the stretch there to come out on top by 4. And man, these games have been incredibly close. 2-point game in game 1. Same story in game 2. 9-point game in game 3, but it was really closer than that, to be honest. And then a 4-point game in game 4. So here we go. We're going into game 5. What is going to happen here? We're back at home. We're off to a lead here in the first quarter, but it's still close. We end up taking the first. A strong start to the second quarter as well. Jumping out to a 20-plus point lead now to end off this first half. Phenomenal stuff. The Nets are fighting back here in this third quarter, trying just to make a statement run. But then we battle back and make a statement to say, no, you don't. Your run's going to end right here, fellas. We go to the fourth quarter. Nets outscoring us, but not by enough yet. We're counting down. It's a close game again. 2:21 to go. Another 5-point game. How does it always come down to this? We've only scored 12 points too. Come on, guys. We jump in with the ball up by 5. A bucket here is absolutely crucial. Anderson attacks. His floater is off the mark. Payne can't grab the board as Sharp tapped it out from his hands. Sullivan then has a Jordan loose and stolen by Vanderbilt. Every time in the fourth quarter he steps up on defense when he's out there. Absolutely huge defensive player. Anderson bucket and foul, and that might be it if he can knock down this free throw. There's still some time left for the Nets. That's a big 3-point play opportunity right there. And we're back to MVP chance here at Rogers Arena. The free throw is up. And it's in there. 8-point game. Under 2 minutes to go. Luka, the quick 3. Hits back iron. I'm pretty sure he's been fairly poor from downtown here in this final series, and usually is when we watch. He's not usually a very consistent 3-point shooter. And we have Ron Baxter out there for some reason. What the heck's going on? Where's Todd Graves? Azette putting some moves on. Trying to get by Luka. He takes it down low, throws it up, and he got it! Azette once again making some nice plays down the stretch in this final series with 2 key players out for the season. Luka Doncic, bounce pass to Nelson, and he will finish at the rim. 1:03 to go, 8-point game again. The Nets won't foul as Azette leaks down low, and Anderson gets the assist, and that's got to be it. Azette with 19 points here in Game 5. A big reason why we are on track to lead this series 3-2. Man, Azette has had one of my favorite career storylines of all time. I gotta be honest. And Vancouver will hang on to win as we will jump ahead in this series 3-2. We're going to go on the road in Game 6 to try and close this series out. Azette steps up big time. Anderson does too. 2 straight victories. The Woodsmen stave off the comeback as Anderson leads the way, dropping 27 points. He did foul out towards the end there. Garrison Best, though, 26 off the bench. A much better game here after a 1 for 13 performance, I think, last game or a few games back. Azette, 19 points. Absolutely clutch play from him. Don Payne, a double-double. 27, 12, and 8 for Luka. But we come out on top, and we lead them 3-2. Here we go. Can we close this series out, or will it go to Game 7? Let's find out. On the road in Brooklyn, They're off to a good start, dropping 37 points here in this first quarter. The second quarter is going our way, but they're hanging on to a lead still. Very slim one at that. The third quarter, now leaning towards the Nets. Can we come back in this one, make it a close game in the fourth quarter? It seems likely not. And we're going to head to a Game 7, everybody. They take us down by 20. 16 assists right there for Kevin Porter Jr. and 43 points for Luka. A board and 2 assists shy of a triple-double. And we are heading into Game 7 and the NBA Finals, everybody. Here we go. June 14th, 2032 at Rogers Arena. Can we come out on top? The Nets start off with a slim lead early on. The offense has yet to get going for us, and right now the Nets are hanging on to a nice lead. If the offense can get things going here, it's going to be a close finish, I bet you. We're fighting back here in the third. But the Nets are just still hanging on. But now we have tied it up. The Nets take it back. We're going to watch the final 6 of this contest, folks. A 2-point game, 5:54 to go. Game 7, elimination game. The best 2 words in sports. Who's going to come out on top? Let's find out. I might have to call a timeout here in a moment. We do have some starters out there right now. But Graves not out there currently. We got Best guarding Luka. That's not the matchup that we want right now. Sharp crosses the court. He steps back and fires over Azet off the bank and in. The Nets lead by 4. I'm going to jump in and bring Graves in to round out the starters for this Game 7 because we need this. We need to bring him in and have our best players out there right now. Unless he's fouled out, that would suck. We do bring in Graves. Starters back out there. Azet at point, Payne at center, Vando at power forward. Anderson obviously out there still as well as he draws the foul on Watson. Who head to the charity stripe for 2. I have no idea who's played well in this game and who hasn't. But they've got 9 blocks apparently in this one. Free throw is up, and it's good. 2-point game again. Watson, top of the key, not going to drop. Quick shot for the Nets, and we get it right back. Azed with it. Trying to find a play. It's a backdoor cut by Anderson. Beautiful play call, and we tie things up at 93. Sharp leaks out. Open triple. This guy doesn't miss, does he? He's hit almost every shot we've seen him take. Vanderbilt getting busy down low. He'll finish at the rim for 2. Luka steps back, but he can't knock it down. Anderson reels it in. 1-point game. Luka's got 17 points right now. He's 1 for 3 from downtown. Payne has a mismatch on him, but he doesn't back him down enough. Luka behind the line again. Not going to drop this time either. Let's push this tempo, fellas. Come on. Azet, open 3. Not going to fall. Payne pulls it down. In there for 2 more. And Vancouver jumps ahead by 1. Luka tries again, but just not falling for him right now. Graves up to Vanderbilt. He had a lane, but then Sullivan came out of nowhere to stop the shot. Great defensive play. Way to rebound and get back on defense. Watson hands off to Nelson. He's got a mismatch on number 5, but he won't back him down. Time counting down for Luka. He'll fire again, and this time it's good from the top of the key. Vanderbilt throws up a shot. He's taking 2 in the fourth quarter. That's got to be a record for him. Double screens for Sharp. He attacks, and he's blocked by Payne. He tried to stuff that one home, but he failed. Graves with the ball. Guarded by Luka. Can he find a good pass? Going to be Azet now. We reset the offense. Under 10 now. And Azet's fouled. 2 minutes to play. We gotta score here. Who do we go to? Anderson guarded by Watson. DeRakis checks in for us. Graves has to shoot over Sharp, and he can't knock it down. It's tipped back out. Anderson's got it for 3. It's not going to drop, and Luka pulls it down now. The Nets still lead by 2 with the ball. Need to stop here desperately. Sharp blocked by Payne again, out of bounds. It'll stay with Brooklyn. 2 huge plays by Payne back to back. But we got to get one more and a bucket as well. 96 seconds to go here in Game 7 of the 2032 Finals. Luka attacks. He goes back out to Sharp. Open 3. He's got it. He doesn't miss those. And the Nets lead by 5. Can the Woodsmen find the clutch gene? Can we find a way to come out on top here in Game 7 down by 5? Graves attacks the rim. Blocked out of bounds by Sharp. Why do we keep giving it to Graves? I don't have any plays set for him, man. I never do. But he still gets the ball in all these clutch moments and not Anderson. It's infuriating. And it might cost us here. Vanderbilt inbounds to Anderson, though, and then he passed right back to Payne. DeRakis fires the shot, and that one falls from downtown. It's back to a 2-point game. We need a big stop right here. We don't stop them, we're going to lose. Luka, deep 3. Of course he's got it. The Vancouver offense has to go fast. We can't be dilly-dallying here. We got to find a shot. And we're not doing so quickly enough. DeRakis is fouled, though. He'll have 2 free throws. This will at least give us a chance. Apparently it's Durakas, but I'm going to call him DeRakis. The first one's good. And DeRakis knocks down both. 50 seconds left. If we don't get a stop here, we are not going to win. Frankly put. And simply put. Luka steps back. That one's off. We get to it. Here's our chance. We need a 3. 2s are not going to cut it. They just aren't. DeRakis in the corner for the triple. It's offline. We can pull it down. It's Graves. He goes back to DeRakis. His second try is not going to drop, though. And now we have to foul. And this one might be over, folks. It might be over. Why would we not give the ball to our best player? Why does number 5 not get the ball in his hands? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. We've seen him hit big shots time and time again. Why don't we give this guy the ball? The free throws from Sharp are good. It's back to a 5-point game. Vanderbilt inbounds to Anderson, but he passes it up immediately. DeRakis fires and misses. Payne's got the board, but he's blocked by Sharp. And this game's over. We're going to lose. Game 7 in the hands of Brooklyn right now. Win or go home. And I think we're the ones going home, folks. 15 seconds left. Down by 7. We're not going to foul any longer. And the Nets are going to come out on top in the finals. And our year comes to an end at the last possible moment. A fantastic year, but marred by injuries. Now we have to watch the other team celebrate on our home court this time. A disappointing end to an otherwise incredible season. But the Nets come out on top and they win the finals. And Luka Doncic wins the Bill Russell Finals MVP. 26 points per game, 8 rebounds, 9 assists per game, shooting lights out from the field and from downtown. Well deserved for him, but we missed 2 starters during this series for pretty much the entirety of it. And that hurts. That was the reason why we lost. We had to put in Lambros Starakis, who was supposed to be only a very low tier backup. Only supposed to come in if this were to happen, and of course it did. That hurts, man. That hurts a lot. But a fantastic year. We had it go our way last year in year 9, and it goes the other way for the other team in year 10. Our first loss in the finals in a series. And for playoff stats this season, here's what we looked like. 29 points per game for Anderson on lights out shooting. 21 and 5 for Carney. 18 and 7 for Halliburton. 12 for Graves. 11 points for Best. 11 for Izzet. Payne, 10 and 10. And a lot less minutes than he usually gets. Man, that hurts. But all we can do now is move on and keep this thing going. Year 10 was definitely going to be the longest one that I go through. The rest will be a lot more summarized, so don't expect us to go through the rest of these seasons like this. This was a one-time thing. Going forward, probably only going to jump in if we are about to win the finals or the WCF in the last couple of minutes. That's probably the only time I will jump in to watch games going forward, or if I expect that it's going to be maybe one of our best players' last games of their career, I might jump in there as well. But yeah, that's going to do it for year 10. And now we just got to keep on moving forward into the offseason and going on from there. So that Game 7 loss in the finals in year 10 takes us into the year 10 offseason. And one of the biggest problems, at least right now in this game, is that you cannot extend the contracts of any of your staff. And so once those contracts do expire, you have to give them a brand new deal, but they could also get offers from other teams. And your current staff can also be poached from other teams as well if they get offers and you don't block other teams from trying to make them leave. And so BJ Cooper is now done with the Woodsmen. He is now a free agent head coach after his first 4 years. 2 rings, 3 finals appearances, and now he's a free agent head coach. And in the year 10 off season, he decided to leave for the Portland Trail Blazers. I gave him the best offer that I could, as much money as we could offer, and he chose to go somewhere else. And so he heads over to the Portland Trail Blazers, just a couple hours south of Vancouver. Really just an unfortunate circumstance there. So BJ Cooper's gone, and I decided to replace him with head coach Jamal Campbell on a cheaper 4-year deal than what BJ Cooper would have gotten. So we have a new coach, and it's gonna be interesting to see what the heck happens here without BJ Cooper, who I thought was my favorite coach that we've had so far. As we jump ahead to the draft, here was our first round selection at pick 31. It was Leftos Patsatsoglou, a Greek man out of La Salle University. And he has got B potential, good rebounder, good post defender. We'll see what he can bring to the team. And we also end up picking up the team options for both Garrison Best and the 2-year team option for Clint Booker. We once again bring Omer Izzet back, this time on a 2-year, $8 million contract. And our biggest move of the offseason was to extend Todd Graves on his rookie deal to a 5-year, $171 million contract. A pretty big contract for a guy that really hasn't proven himself on the offensive end. So we're going to see what happens. But he's a key part of this team. He is a very key part to our defense, and he's been a big part of the championship teams that we have had so far in the series. Not only that, but we did also re-sign Keon Murphy to a 3-year contract worth $16 million. And our final signings were to bring back Precious Achiuwa on a 1-year vet minimum contract and also bring in point guard Herbert Green on the same contract. So with all those signings being done, this is what our salary cap now looks like. We are paying a lot of money to 5 players: Halliburton, Anderson, Payne, Graves, and Carney. They are all making $30+ million. We are negative 53 in luxury tax room, absolutely shelling out, spending as much money as possible to keep this championship core together. That also takes us into the player progression screen. Here's a brief look at that. And as we move on into year 11, here is your starting rotation with head coach Jamal Campbell's first season. We're going to have Halliburton, Carney, Anderson, Vandal, Payne, your usual starting 5. Graves is the perennial 6th man with Garrison Best, Achiuwa, and a couple other guys behind him. In the All-Star break in year 11, we end up having both Anderson and Tyrese Halliburton make it. We got Anderson on team LaMelo and Hallie on team Luka. And at the extension deadline for contracts, we do bring back Vanderbilt on a 2-year, $17 million extension, a lot cheaper than what he was making this season. And by the end of year 11, Jamal Campbell would win Coach of the Year thanks to a 60-22 record with the Woodsmen in his first ever season. We secure the 1 seed, but guess who is in second? It is the BJ Cooper-led Portland Trail Blazers, hot on our tail, 6 games behind us. Lakers have the same record as them, but they had a tiebreaker over them. But we had a pretty good home record, a bit worse on the road, but overall a really, really solid season. Not as good as last year, but overall a really promising start to Jamal Campbell's stint. And our opponent in the first round would be the 8 seed Los Angeles Clippers. And we start the playoff run taking them down in 5 games. In game 1, Anderson led the way in scoring for us. A lot of guys in double figures there. 29 for Mathurin here. In game 2, we got 32 for Halliburton. Anderson and Carney both contribute very well on the offensive end. Mathurin again leads LA in scoring, and we blow them out again. In game 3, the Clippers win by a 7-point margin. Graves drops 27. Halliburton a double-double. Carney 19. And 23 for Mathurin. In game 4, he drops 20, but still just not enough as we blow them out by 39 points, behind 38 points for Simon Anderson. And then to close it out, game 5, Thorpe Bayless dropped 20 plus, but it's not enough as the Woodsmen come out on top behind 29 and 10 from Tyrese Halliburton. And a 1-point game as well. In round 2, we have another series with the Dallas Mavericks who we have seen a couple of different times in the playoffs. The most memorable one was from back in year 9 when we had to come out on top in 7 games and barely squeak by them and Dyson Daniels. But this time around, we do sweep them in the second round to punch our ticket back into the Western Conference Finals, where our opponents would be the Sacramento Kings. And in game 1 against Dallas, it was Halliburton leading the charge, dropping 26 points. Travis Ellis drops 23 for the Mavs, only 16 here for Dyson Daniels. In game 2, Westbrook, Towns, Ellis all dropped 20 plus. Daniels only 13 points, but had 15 assists as well. While Halliburton, Anderson, and Carney dropped 20 plus as well. Double figures for Payne, Best, and Graves. In game 3, we win by 6. Despite a really solid day from a couple of different Mavericks players, we come out on top thanks to 32 from Simon Anderson. In game 4, we close them out in a blowout win thanks to 2 very electric days offensively from Anderson and Carney. Over on the other side, BJ Cooper's Trailblazers fall in 7 to the 6 seed Kings, who also previously took down the Lakers in 7. So a team that has played a lot more games than we have in the playoffs. We're facing them here in the WCF. Let's see what happens. And of course, in Game 4 of the WCF, Halliburton tears his left MCL. He's done for the season. He will miss the rest of this playoff run. Another one that ends his season, unfortunately. And it's Joel Carney who wins WCF MVP this year. 27 points per game. We take the Kings down in 5. But, man, look at these numbers. 53% from the field. 53% as well from beyond the arc. Absolutely phenomenal shooting from Joel Carney. Coming into his own once again. Stepping up. And it is going to be a rematch of the last finals. Luka and the Nets are back and we are once again injured. And by the way, here are your regular season stats from this past year. You can see that Joel Carney led us in scoring with 24.5 points per game. Anderson averaged 21.5, 4 and 3. Halliburton had 18 and 9. Garrison Best, 12 points off the bench. Graves had 11. Herbert Green had 10 and only 8 games played. Don Payne averaged just below 10 and 10. And Azette had 6 points off the bench as well. In those Western Conference Finals, though, Game 1 came down to the last shot. And Carney, Halliburton, Graves all had big days. McNeil had a double-double. Javon Davis had 20. In Game 2, not so much for the Kings. Their offense was pretty poor. And the Woodsmen got 37 for Anderson and 27 for Joel Carney. Then in Game 3, Javon Davis drops 29 in a blowout loss. While the Woodsmen get 29 and 9 from Halliburton and 20 points from Joel Carney. In Game 4, the Kings blew us out despite really good days from both Carney and Anderson, while the Kings got a nice one from McNeil and very good overall shooting from the rest of their team. In Game 5, we close it out once again winning by 2, with Carney dropping 32, Anderson dropping 29, and the Kings falling despite 26 from Sylvester McNeil. Game 1 of the NBA Finals rematch between the Nets and the Woodsmen. This is going to be on our home court, I believe. But we're going into the fourth quarter, and we are getting absolutely smoked right now. The Nets take Game 1 by a massive margin of 33 points. Carney had 23, Anderson had 22, Graves had 15, but nobody else did a whole lot whatsoever. We are really missing Tyrese Halliburton right now, as Luka drops a massive 38 points. Sharp drops 39 and 11. They almost hit 2 triple-doubles. Come on. And Game 2 also at home. Can we get off to a better start? Definitely a better first quarter, but it's really back and forth. The Nets hanging on to a slim lead here. But we do take the lead. No, actually, they had a 1-point lead by halftime, but this third quarter is definitely going our way. Jumping out to a massive lead now. We're going to head to the fourth quarter up by a lot, and we end up taking this one by a massive margin as well. And Todd Graves apparently just had a career high. 29 points for him on 12 for 17 shooting. Anderson also plays very well, dropping 27. And the Nets got 27, 6, and 9 from Luka, and Wellington drops 19, now with the Nets. His first year with them. So he's trying to take us down in the finals, I guess. We'll see if that works out for him. But 2 blowouts so far. Very different than last year's finals. Now we go into Game 3. What happens here? Really good start to this first quarter for the Woodsmen. The Nets getting back on track here in the second quarter, but the Woodsmen hang on to a low-score lead. Third quarter, the Nets jump out ahead. And now it's just back and forth the rest of the way. Fourth quarter, Nets out in front right now. We're trying to ease our way back in here. It's going to be a tight finish. And it looks like the Nets come out on top by 5. 99-94 is the final score. Luka drops 28, 8 and 10. 23 for Sharp. The Woodsmen got 26 for Anderson, 23 for Carney, 16 for Best, and not a whole lot else from anybody else. Now here we go with Game 4. On the road once again, trying to tie the series up. Okay, this exact same situation last year as well, and we did win this game. But right now the Nets have the lead. It's back and forth, but they are increasing their lead here in this third quarter. Fourth quarter coming down to the wire. Woodsmen trying to battle back. They take the lead. It's back and forth here in the fourth quarter. We're trying to stretch out. We're going to jump in with 1:08 to go. I got to watch this. All right, game 4 of the Year 11 Finals here in 2033. Woodsmen down by 3. Gotta have it. Graves is fouled by Wellington, who might be starting for the Nets, or at least is in the game currently for them. We're about to bring in a couple of players ourselves. The first one is good from Todd Graves. We are in the bonus. They are not. Both teams have 1 foul left. Both are good from Todd. Carney checks in along with Garrison Best. And I believe Vanderbilt also now out there as well. We just went smaller. Why don't we just do that? Makes no sense. The layup is in there. That is good from Shadon Sharp. Still have yet to find stops against him in these finals. 3-point game. We took out Anderson for no fucking reason. Carney hits a 3 though, top of the key. Step back shot to tie it up at 1:17 apiece. Sharp, quick trigger, missing this time. Achua pulls it down. Why do we take Don Payne out of the game? Carney again, not gonna fall. He does fire though, and it's off. Not the best shot attempt there. Only 20 or so seconds left. Sharp to Anunoby. No Luka out there for the Nets. He might be fouled out or hurt or something, not sure. Anunoby, hands off to Sanders. Back to Sharp, his contested 3. It's good! Are you kidding me, man? With 7 seconds left. Carney was right there in his mouth. Anderson checks back in for the final play and regulation. The Woodsmen needed 3 to fall. He's the one to take it. And it's off the mark. We have to foul. This game's over. The Nets are going to lead 3-1. We have to wait until these free throws are done. It's always Shadon Sharp. Every time, he's been the one to really put it to bed. Now he'll have the free throws to really ice it. He's got MVP chance here at the Barclays Center. The first one drops. We know what's happening here. They're both good. This game is officially over. The Nets hold on to win as Sharp drops 30. Luka did foul out after dropping 23 points, but we just cannot stop Shadon Sharp right now, and we let Anderson lose despite dropping 43 points in this game. Unbelievable. But down 3-1, we have to win 3 straight if we want a shot at winning our next championship. The first quarter goes the Nets' way. The second quarter goes our way. We're holding on to a decent lead here, but the Nets are battling back here in the third. Can we hang on into this fourth quarter? Just barely. A very slim lead. Time counting down, back and forth, scoring. The Nets took the lead for a moment. It's back and forth, and now we're down by 2 with 1:19 to go. Let's jump in. We jump in with Vanderbilt at the charity stripe, and where the hell are all of our good players? They're not even out there at all. We gotta call timeout immediately. I need to call timeout right when this play's done. Why does the game do this when I do the fucking simcasting shit? It's so annoying. Luka, back to Sanders. It's going to stop here, fellas. Vano jumps the pass. I'm going to wait for the fast break. Okay, no, I'm not actually. I'm calling timeout. Bringing in our best guys. That's our last one. That's okay. We have to use it. And it looks like Anderson must have fouled out or he's hurt because he can't come in. So Graves will check in. Payne will check in. And I guess we have Best starting, which that's not good for our defense. Vanderbilt inbounds to Best. A single bucket puts us in front. Don't gotta force anything crazy. Best to Graves for 3. Why is it always this exact shot? Payne's there on the glass for 2. Yes, sir. Right over Luka. 50 seconds left. Let's hang on and win this game, boys. Luka off the screen. Attacks the rim. Blocked by Vanderbilt. Another huge fourth quarter stop by him. Carney takes the screen, gets inside, and knocks it down to put us up by 3. Defense to offense. Every time. Here we go. The Nets pretty much have the entire shot clock to work with, but they might go quick here. Not entirely sure. Sharp crosses. Luka does not see him. He'll take it himself, I guess. Vanderbilt's right there. Luka passed out to Sharp. His 3. It's gone! Are you serious? This guy's relentless! Leave me alone! Only seconds left. We're not even trying to rush this. Bess, what are you doing, bud? It's off! We're going to overtime! Beat on goddamn Sharp! Leave me alone, brother! Another contested 3 in crunch time. And he's forced overtime here in Game 5. Alright, we're going to sim the first few minutes of overtime because I simply cannot fit all this into one single video if I watch the entire thing. So, I'm going to sim the first couple of minutes. The Woodsmen jump out to a quick lead, but now 1:04 to go, 2-point game. And the Nets do have the ball. Same play as they've done the past couple of times, except Murphy's there now. Sullivan fires and knocks it down. We're tied at 121. We took the lead. We let him back in. Same thing as the fourth quarter. Can we clutch this game out with Anderson having fouled out? Graves for 3. Why do we always do that stupid-ass play? He's not going to hit those. Luka, the triple. Offline. Carney pulls it down. Somebody else besides Graves or Vanderbilt take the goddamn shot. Give it to Best or Carney. Those are your best 2 options. You might save for the last shot of OT. And it looks like we are. Who does it come down to? Best to Carney. The triple is off! And we're going to double overtime. Two straight 3s by us to end both periods that have just rolled around the rim and out. This game's not even over. Alright, we're going to sim again. I'm going to slow it down so we can just see pretty much everything that's happening. Back and forth. Woodsmen lead by 1. The Nets take the lead by 1 now. And with 1:09 to go, they are at the charity stripe, I believe. Or we are. Todd Graves has free throws. Down by 2. 17 points tonight. He's got 2 shots. The first one is up and through. All right. The second one is good as well. 129-129. A minute 10 to go and counting. We need stops and we need buckets. As per usual. Luka, step back 3 online. How do you stop that with Garrison Best on your team? Or with no real guys that can switch off of their current matchups right now? I don't even know. It's tough. Carney at the rim. Can't finish. Nice defense there by Sanders. Luka again for 2. And the Nets lead by 5 with 36 seconds left on the brink of beating us on our own home court once again, man. Unbelievable. We absolutely choked this game. And shit on Sharp just doesn't miss, I guess. That's just absolutely killer, man. That's killer. We once again miss Halliburton in the finals for the second straight year against this team. And it's going to cost us even more this time. Graves, the triple. Missed it. It's always him taking those. It's always him. Free throws for Sullivan. The Nets are going to walk out of here once again with a championship for the second straight season. Have we actually met our match? Have we actually? The clock's going to count down here. And it's over. The Nets are back-to-back champs. Well, I hate seeing that. But Luka once again wins Finals MVP, 38-9, even better in this series than in last year's series. And another injury, a major one that cost us dearly in the NBA Finals. 4-1 loss. The Nets are your back-to-back champions. But I would say a pretty decent first year for head coach Jamal Campbell. So we can just keep on moving. Before we move on, though, playoff stats for you from this season. Anderson, 26 points per game, lights out shooting. Carney, 22 points per game. Halliburton, 20-9 before he got hurt. Todd Graves, 14 points per game, shot fairly well. Same goes for Garrison Best. Don Payne, 9-8 on less minutes than we usually expect, because the CPU does not like to give him so many. But, man, pretty much the same story as last year all over again. So into the offseason we go, and we go immediately to the NBA draft, where we took it, pick 31, another power forward. Jess Patrick, 73 overall, 7-foot guy out of Nigeria. He's not great in really any one area, but he does have the potential, so he could turn into somebody, but we just don't know right now. We also end up declining the team option for Clinton Booker, who really has not shown any amount of growth at all. And he's 24 years old, no badges, 71. I think it's smart of us to just let him go and go in a different direction. And our first signing of the offseason was to bring in Garrison Best on a brand new 3-year contract worth $31 million. We did give him the qualifying offer to restrict him, and now he's back on the team once again. And alongside him, we bring in another backup guard, Gary Trent Jr., a 34-year-old veteran, but still a very solid player, solid shooter, and a really solid defender as well. 2 years, $18 million contract to join us. And our final signings were to bring in Isaiah Stewart and Dalen Battle on 1-year vet minimum contracts to round out the roster. And here's the player progression for this offseason. Not a lot of players going down, but some small growth for a couple of players. So into year 12 we go, and here is the rotation. Halliburton, Carney, Anderson, Vando, Payne. Your same starting 5 for a couple years in a row. Todd Graves once again as the 6th man, with Gary Trent Jr., Garrison Best, and Keon Murphy, Isaiah Stewart behind him. I'm stopping in the very middle of year 12 because I saw the score line of 151 to 153, and I had a thought that this had to be surely an overtime game, right? But it wasn't. And Carney dropped 58 points. How does he do it? I think that surpasses Anderson's high. I'm like, what? This is crazy. But back to the simming. Anderson ends up being our lone all-star. Halliburton does not make it. Not sure entirely why, but Anderson does make it for the 5th time in his career. And it was also time to give out a couple of extensions. And mainly because a couple of players want less money than they're currently making. And that includes Jared Vanderbilt, Joel Carney, Don Payne. So we give out contract offers to them, which will lower the money that they're currently making, and will also lower the cap hits that we're taking on these players as well. So that's going to be a huge help, and we get deals done with all of them for less money as well. And by the end of the season, it was Anderson who actually made the All-NBA second team for the first time in his career. We usually don't have players on these teams, but this time we finally do. Another accolade for number 5. And he ends up helping us to a 60-22 season here in year 12, just one game back from the 1-seed Mavericks, who ended up going 61-21. But we end up on a very nice 10-game win streak, a very solid home record, one of the best scoring teams in the entire league. We were extremely good from 3 as well. Just an overall really solid first year in the stint, or second year rather, for the stint for Jamal Campbell. And here are the stats for you. Joel Carney up to 25.5 points per game on the season. Anderson had 23, 5, and 4 on really good shooting. Both guys had really insane shooting splits this season. Halliburton ends up going for 17 and 8 as his numbers continue to slightly dip. The same goes for Don Payne. But Gary Trent Jr. and Garrison Best, about 12 points off the bench for either guy. Both guys shot fairly well. Todd Graves, though, did not shoot very well. Only 39-40% from the field, down from last season. But overall, a lot of guys played very well, and we had a really good, solid year. We would once again face the Kings in the playoffs, this time in the first round. We are the 2 seed, they are the 7. So, what is going to happen here? We're going to sim it. What's going to happen in this first round? With Anderson missing probably a game or 2. Don Payne's fully healthy. The Kings are about to beat us. And they do! The Woodsmen are knocked out in the first round by the Kings in 6 games. What the heck happened? Game 1, Anderson exits 17 minutes in with 17 points. Nobody else even beat us out or beat him out for that. And we still win Game 1. McNeil drops 31 and 12 for the Kings. And Game 2, he drops 28, 8, and 10. And the Woodsmen got 17 only from Halliburton. And again, Anderson was out for the rest of the series because it was a 1-2 week injury. He can't play through that. We lost by 2 in Game 2. In Game 3, we lost by 6 in a low-scoring game. McNeil drops 24, 8, and 10. The Woodsmen got 23 for Carney and Payne, but not a good day for Halliburton or Graves. In Game 4, man, we just didn't do anything on the offensive end. This Kings defense must be really good or something, or we're just really missing Anderson. 30 and 12 this time for McNeil in Game 4, and we lose another close one. And another fourth quarter comeback. Carney drops 30, Halliburton 23 and 9, and we still don't win. And Anderson missed pretty much the entire playoff series. Another injury that essentially ends our year, and we haven't been able to rebound from those injuries despite having what I thought to be one of the deeper teams in the NBA. So just our most disappointing year in a while, and man, how is it going to end like this pretty much 3 years in a row? That is brutal, man. Carney led us in scoring here in the playoffs, but Anderson was going to. 17 points in 17 minutes, and that was all he could do, and then he missed the rest of the series. Halliburton was not very good in this first round. McNeil must have locked him up. A lot of guys shot poorly, actually. Carney shot only 42%. Gary Trent Jr. only 41%. Best shot well. Graves was bad. Payne shot bad. The guards really let us down here. They really, really did. God, that hurts the soul. A premature end to our season. Year 12, one of our worst years in a while. I guess we'll just see how the rest of this thing unfolds, huh? Still at the playoffs. The Pacers beat out the Nets. John Morant, ECF MVP. LaMelo Ball, WCF MVP. It's a Nuggets-Pacers finals. Who's going to come out on top? It is the Denver Nuggets in 5. And the MVP is LaMelo Ball, 25 and 12. That's incredible. And in the year 12 offseason, Omer Izzet has retired a Woodsman. At 34 years old, he exits the league. One of the franchise favorites, one of the series favorites. He was on this team all but one season. Had some really great highlight moments. Career high of 30 points. And Carney actually led the entire league this season in points in a game. Good for him. But Azette, man, we got him a championship. It's all that he can really ask for at this point, right? He will walk off into the sunset. Averaged about 9 points a game when he played. Shot very well from the field and from three. Was a pretty decent free throw shooter as well. And he played for us every year except for the 28-29 season where he was on the Heat. Otherwise, he was in Vancouver the entirety of his career. So 9 out of 10 years was with us in Canada. But goodbye to one of the franchise legends. The first of many that are going to retire in this episode, folks. We're not done yet. Dalen Battle also retires at the same amount of years in the league. And there you go. And later on, at pick 29 in that first round, we would take another power forward. For 3 years in a row, we take a power forward. This time it's Benjamin Sharp. 72 overall, no badges. And it was actually a second round pick. We did not have a first round pick this year, so he was a second round pick. Kind of like Omer Zed was. So interesting stuff there, but another power forward to add to our team. We would pick up the team option for Leftos, of course, and we would then sign Malachi Branham to a 2-year, $10 million deal. It was kind of a quiet offseason because we only had really 2 roster spots to truly fill out. So it was Branham and then it was Javon Davis, who we could have taken first overall years and years back in that same draft class as Don Payne. But we bring in Malachi Branham and we bring in Javon Davis on a vet minimum contract. And the biggest thing that did happen in this offseason was Calvin Gordon, instead of returning to San Antonio, chooses to head to the Boston Celtics. 3 years, $162 million. Meanwhile, Jabari Smith returns to the Spurs on a 5-year deal worth $45 million a year, and Travis Ellis leaves the Dallas Mavericks to head over there with him on a 4-year deal worth $175. Both guys will make over $40 million a season. And not only that, but Luka Doncic leaves the Brooklyn Nets to go to the Washington Wizards, while Jason Tatum replaces Travis Ellis over in Dallas, joining Dyson Daniels, who just got a 4-year extension as well. And to round out the 12th offseason, here is the player progression breakdown. A lot more guys going down than going up, but not by a whole lot. But you're starting to see some regression for a couple of players. In year 13, our lineup would look like this. Tyrese Halliburton, Joel Carney, Anderson Vando Payne, same starting 5 as the last several seasons. Todd Graves, once again, is the 6th man, but I have a feeling that this is kind of a make or break year for him. If he's not going to give us more offense off the bench in 30 minutes a game, then we probably should move on because of how much money he is making and how much money that he is going to be asking for later on down the line as well. He could start on pretty much any other team, and we could probably get better by trading him away if we chose to do that. But he is going to be our 6th man this season, with Gary Trent Jr. behind him, as well as Malachi Branham, Garrison Best, and Lefto. So a bit of a different lineup, but still pretty similar to our last couple of teams. By the All-Star break, our lone All-Star would once again be Anderson, making his 6th All-Star appearance, and I think his 3rd or 4th straight. And in his 3rd season as the head coach of the Woodsmen, we once again go 60-22 for the 3rd straight year, and Jamal Campbell once again wins Coach of the Year. We had no All-NBA players on any of those teams. We had a better away record than our home record. The offense was a bit down from last year, but we did pass the ball a bit better this year, averaging now 30 assists per game, which is really good to see. And we do come in once again as the 1 seed in the West, 6 games ahead of the Mavericks, who are behind us. During this season, here were your stats. Anderson averaged 23.5 points per game, 5 boards, 4 assists, shooting 50% from the field. Joel Carney drops back down to second on the team in scoring with 21 a game. That's more like it. Tyrese Halliburton averaged about 15 and 8, so his numbers continue to dip as he gets a little bit older. Malachi Branham supplies 13 points off the bench with 12 from Best, 10 from Gary Trent, and only 9 from Todd Graves on 42% shooting. Don Payne down to now 9 and 11, while Leftos had 8, 6, and 3. Here in 2034, our first round opponent are the Clippers. Let's see what happens here. We're going to sim the entire first round. We take the first 2 games. Vanderbilt's fully healthy now. And we take them down in 5. We're going to face the Spurs in the second round. They were the 5 seed. They took down the Kings in 5. So now we face the Spurs again in the playoffs. We're going to sim this entire round and see what happens. We take the first 2. Branham's going to miss the rest of the playoffs. Maybe he might show up in the finals if we get there. But a dislocated right elbow is going to end this round for him at least. But we do end up sweeping the Spurs. And so now, back in the Western Conference Finals, we take on the Utah Jazz, who have one of the best up-and-coming, well, not even up-and-coming, one of the best current players in the entire league. It is Devin Hayward. We actually saw him get drafted a couple years ago. I think that was the draft between year 8 and year 9 before the final season. But this guy also out of Ohio State, so just like Anderson, he's a good old Buckeye out of the Ohio State. And this guy is a superstar player. He's dropped 48 this year, but he's coming off a 59-point game. What? He shot 19 for 25. What in the world? That's better than Carney's game from last season. What in God's name is this guy doing? But this should be a pretty interesting series. I'm going to go game by game here. And we take game 1. It was a close one. Trent drops 25 off the bench, while Halliburton and Anderson both dropped 20 plus. Hayward drops 34. David Roddy drops 23. We come out on top in overtime. 6-point overtime win. Then game 2 goes the Utah way. They win this one by 6 as well, despite 20 plus from Carney and Anderson. But 28 and 12 for Hayward. Just cannot be stopped. Did miss 15 shots. It was not good from 3, but he does power them to a win. And he got a lot of good play from, Pokusevski, Mathurin, Akwa-Egbu, all those guys. And just 2 straight games, I think, where they have outscored us there in the fourth quarter. But then we take game 3. Hayward drops 27, Mathurin 22. And Trent, once again, has a great day. 27 points, 25 for Carney, 20 plus as well for Halliburton and Simon Anderson. Great to see all of those guys get involved. All the guards stepping up here. That's awesome to see. Nice win right there. Can we go up 3-1? Yes, we can. As the Celtics, led by Calvin Gordon, have punched their ticket to the finals already as they swept Atlanta after sweeping the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round. But we take game 4 by a boatload despite Hayward dropping a 40 bomb on us. What in the world is going on? Anderson outplayed him. 48 points. 19 for 26. He's back, baby. Let's go. He's 32 and he's still kicking. Halliburton 24 and 11. Man, that must have been a sick game to watch. 48 for him, 40 for Hayward. 2 stars going head to head. Can we make our way back into the finals under Jamal Campbell? This is his 3rd season with us, I believe. Can we do it? Nope. We got blown out by the Jazz in game 5. Anderson leads the way, dropping 18 points, but the offense wasn't there this time, especially in that fourth quarter. And Hayward got some help from his teammates, 20 plus from Mathurin and Garrett, as well as himself. Good for him, I guess, but not good for us. And we are going to head to the finals as Tyrese Halliburton will win the WCF MVP, dropping 18 or pretty much 19 points per game and 10 assists per game, shooting 58% from the field and 57% from beyond the arc. Yeah, he deserves that. That is incredible. Meanwhile, Calvin Gordon wins the ECF MVP And our destinies are once again intertwined with his. He dropped 32-10 in a 4-game series against Atlanta. Also shot very similar numbers as to Halliburton. That is incredible. So it is the Woodsmen taking on Calvin Gordon once again. What does this Celtics team even look like? I have no idea. They've got Kevin Porter Jr. We've seen him plenty of times. Jordan Kerr, who's been in the league for a couple of years now. He's in year 5. Is a really good shooter, really good scorer. Overall, just a really good player. Desmond McDaniels, who is a rookie starting, does not put up too many numbers, but he's starting for sure. Jalen Smith, who is a very old veteran, 15 years now in the league, played for us way back when, several years ago. Calvin Gordon as their mainstay player, with Jeremy Lawson off the bench, as well as Malcolm Sullivan, Isaiah Stewart, Rixie Duganix, and Mark Rogers. Wow. Going to be a very interesting final series. Let's start a little bit of simcasting. I think we're probably a couple more years out from number 5 retiring, so want to get through these as quickly as you possibly can, but a strong second corner puts us in the lead entering the second half, holding on to a very slim lead right now in the fourth quarter. Celtics trying to power their way back in, but we are not going to let them. We are only extending our lead right now. Time is running out for Boston, and a great fourth quarter will rocket power us to a massive bludgeoning of the Celtics. And who else would it be besides the GOAT, Simon Anderson, dropping 37 points in Game 1, as well as a double-double from Tyrese Halliburton and 21 for Gary Trent, who continues to shoot extremely well from beyond the arc in these playoffs, and double figs from 4 other guys too. Love all of those guys giving those contributions. Calvin Gordon only 24 points here in Game 1, 22 for Jordan Kerr. Those are their 2 best players. All right, we head into Game 2. They want us to give more minutes to Todd Graves. I'm going to let the CPU handle that. I realized that I forgot to actually change our lineup, like how many guys are in our lineup from 10 to 8 in the playoffs. I forgot to do that for every year that we've been doing this since I simmed. But we're going to get blown out here in Game 2, so we're just going to sim through this one. Not sure what's going on here, but they answer our blowout with their own. Game 2 goes the Celtics' way, even though Carney drops 31. But nobody else really was doing a whole lot well besides Halliburton, who had a double-double. But Jordan Kerr drops 37, Gordon drops 30. Both guys played much better here in Game 2, and that will boost them to a win. So a tied series, 1 game apiece. Let's sim the next one. First quarter going our way, but it's still a close one. Celtics battling back. They are trading leads with us right now in the third quarter. We're going to head to the fourth with a slim Boston lead. Going to the waning minutes of this game. Can we come back in this one? The Celtics are holding on. And they are going to win this one by 9 points as Kerr drops 32. Gordon drops 30 and 16. The Woodsmen got 16 from Carney only. What is happening to the offense sometimes, man? So inconsistent. And before I forget, this is very important for me to do. We're going to bump this down to 8 for bench depth. And then we're going to rebuild the rotation. If it didn't do it already. It did not. Did it save the thing? Yes, it did. Okay, we're going to rebuild the rotations. Give more minutes to our starters because we need to. So off the bench, we're going to have Graves, Best, and Gary Trent. I like that, but we're going to be kind of going small here. I don't know if I like that. I might take out Garrison Best and put in somebody like Leftos or Patrick. Patrick is 7 foot tall, so he could be the guy to put out there. Leftos has shot worse. Rebounds more, though. I think I would rather put in just Patrick just because of the height in place of Best. And this third quarter, we're battling back. We take the lead, a strong one, outscoring them by a lot in this third quarter. Holding on to this lead, trying to extend it by a little bit. Celtics trying to hang in there, but they're running out of time now. And we are going to tie the series up at 2 games apiece as Anderson apparently drops 43 points in this one on the road. 43 for him, 15 for 26 from the field, 11 for 15 from beyond the arc. That is insane. Carney 22, Payne 16 and 11. Halliburton a very solid double-double. Patrick 9 and 4. Everybody played well. Nobody played poorly. For the Celtics, 24 for Kerr, 24, 12 and 7 for Calvin Gordon, and 20 for Malcolm Sullivan off the bench as well. So great job. I mean, absolutely fantastic second half, dropping 40 plus in each of those last two quarters to power us to a win. We're all knotted up at 2 games apiece through 4. We go into game 5, back at home at Rogers Arena. First half, very back and forth. The Celtics jump out to a slim halftime lead. In the third, still back and forth. We aren't necessarily clawing our way back in yet. We go to the fourth. We started off fairly well. The Celtics, though, keep it going, and we just can't mount the comeback. They just keep us at bay the whole time, and they lead the series 3-2. Carney drops 25 and 9. Anderson drops 22. 17 for Halliburton with 3 steals. 15 for Graves. Payne fouled out in 16 minutes. How does this happen so often? Jordan Kerr, 27 points. Gordon, 25. Lawson off the bench, 21. Or I guess he started this game maybe. I think he was put in for Porter perhaps. But he goes in. They win by 11 because of a poor scoring fourth quarter by your Woodsmen. Here we go. Our final chance in the series. Unless we win this one, we can force a Game 7 to go back home. But we got to win at TD Garden first. First half, we're barely in the lead. Just barely. The third quarter, we're doing a little bit better. Trying to extend this lead a bit further. Put more distance between us and them before the fourth. We drive just below 40. The fourth quarter comes. Under 5 to go. The Celtics are closing the gap, but we're hanging on. And we have forced a Game 7 thanks to a 15-point win. Beautiful stuff. We're going to Game 7, folks. Kerr drops 24, Gordon drops 24, Sullivan drops 21. And the Woods got 31 and 12 for Tyrese Halliburton, 28 for Simon Anderson, and 25 for Joel Carney. The guards step up when it matters the most. And now we're going to Game 7 against Calvin Gordon. Shocker. It always happens. It looks like Malachi Branham is going to be fully healed, so I might have to make a change to line up that because he was really good during the season. But let's just take a look here. Do we put in Branham over somebody else? This year, he averaged 13 points per game, 3 boards, 3 assists, and shot very well across the board. Was worse from 3 during the playoffs, but he played only 1 or 2 games, I think. Do you put him in over Gary Trent? Gary Trent averaging 11 points per game, shooting extremely well. Not going to take him out. What about just Patrick? He's shooting horribly. So do you cough up some height and you put in Branham? I think you do. But Branham, I think Branham's like 6'8". Branham he's 6'5". Okay, that's fine. Well, is it though? I don't know. But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give about 20-ish minutes to him. We're gonna take a few from Graves, and I'm gonna give literally 10 more minutes to Payne. He needs to play 40 minutes in this game, and that's the game plan for this one. So here we go. Game 7. Gonna see if Brigham Branham's gonna make a big difference for us. First quarter, we're off to an early lead, dropping just below 40. Love seeing that. Second quarter is going very well. This game's potentially a blowout, but not just yet. Not just yet. Gotta wait. Third quarter's going very well for us. The Celtics have closed the gap, though, in the fourth quarter. But is it too much for them to bear? I think it is. I think we're on track to win another title, folks. Our third in this series. Let's jump in and watch the last minute. 1 minute to go here as Vancouver leads by 30. We're going to finally watch our team win a championship on our own home court. Because both times we did it previously, we did not see it. We saw it on the road. But now we're at home and we can see the celebration amongst the entire fandom in Game 7. And a blow-in over Calvin Gordon. It's a beautiful sight, folks. It is an absolutely stunning sight. I can't wait to actually see it. Anderson tacks on a floater, making him pay even further. 125 to 94, less than 30 seconds left until title number 3 for your Vancouver Woodsmen, everybody. And the first in the head coaching stint of Jamal Campbell. Kerr knocks down the 3, but 16 seconds left. We can dribble this one out. The fat lady's about to sing, folks, because your Vancouver Woodsmen are once again NBA champions! Anderson falls to his knees as title number 3 enters the arena. Another Larry O'Brien trophy. And I better see Anderson as the finals MVP. I better see it. Please. It needs to be him. We cannot end this career without one of those. First it was Payne. Then it was Halliburton. It's got to be him this time. That trio has been the rock of this entire series, the core of the series. It needs to be that guy right there, number 5. It's got to be him. The fans celebrate as confetti rains down. Here's the bench, and Todd Graves, Garrison Best, Leftos, Keon Murphy, all charging the court to join their fellow comrades in this victory. We finally got one on our own home courts. And they're once again not going to show us the lifting of the trophy. Are you serious, Adam Silver? You absolute alien buffoon. We just have to imagine this right now. We have to imagine that we see Halliburton, Anderson lifting that trophy. But who is the finals MVP? That's the real question. The Woodsmen have won the championship, and your finals MVP is Tyrese Halliburton. Not gonna knock it. 16 and 12 is a very good stat line, especially shooting that well throughout 7 games and getting 2 steals as well. He deserves that. But I gotta see Anderson's stats again. I can't even override this, man. Is it possible to get it without having... Anderson must only be able to win it if we don't have a guy that passes the ball this well on the team, because if he's dropping 10 assists or more per game, he's probably going to win it, to be honest with you. But 48% from the field, 49% from downtown. Halliburton was phenomenal at age 35. We kept him around. I chose not to trade this guy despite the last 2 couple of years, or 2 out of the last 3 years being injuries in the finals. And it ends up working out in the end. Long term, we get 3 championships with him on the team. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. I gotta see the stats real quick, though, from the finals. Anderson averaged 28.1 points per game, 5 boards, 4 assists. You're telling me this was not good enough to win finals MVP, man? 16 and 12 beats that out? What? He shot very well as well. 47% and 43%. Those are phenomenal splits. And he doesn't win it again. Once again, he's been robbed. Again, Halliburton played very well. But come on, man. You're telling me that we can't get this guy one Bill Russell Finals MVP, not one? Anyways, though, here are the playoff stats. Anderson, 23.6 points to lead the way for us. Carney behind with 22. Halliburton, 17 and 10. All 3 guys shot extremely well. Garrison Best, 11 points. Gary Trent Jr., 11. Don Payne, 9 and 11. He shot very well. Malachi Brannon was pretty good. Todd Graves shot poorly. I've actually thought about trading Graves recently because he's 27 years old on a pretty big deal. And I don't think that his numbers equate to his contract. And we are really we have like no money. So I am considering trading Todd Graves and just going a different direction. I think that makes sense for his career. I think he probably deserves to start somewhere else. And there is a team that would be willing to field him and make him a starter for long term. I think I will do that in this off season, and we'll go from there. But those are your playoff stats, everybody. We're once again champions. Another trophy into our trophy case. It's beautiful. The first for head coach Jamal Campbell. Jared Vanderbilt has retired, everybody, after 17 full years in the league. Age 36, he's done. Same as Gary Trent. Both guys walk into the sunset with a championship ring on their fingers to end their careers. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Vanderbilt has been a huge part of this Vancouver team. He has been with us since that trade with the Grizzlies way back in the 28-29 season. And he has been phenomenal on defense ever since then. We saw a bunch of clutch plays with only a couple of clips in this episode alone. He has been absolutely awesome on defense. His career numbers, I probably can't see the actual totals, but I can see his averages. And he averaged 4 points per game, 7 boards, 1.2 steals. But I mean, really, he did more than that. Like, he was an absolute defensive menace. He ends up with, what do we get out of him? 3 championships, all 3 with us. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. Meanwhile, Gary Trent also has retired, and I don't think he won his first championship with us, did he? Or was he on the team at that point? I don't think he was. He was with somebody else. He was with Philly when he won his first one, but he's won one with us as well, and that's when he's going to retire, and he played very well, had a couple of really huge games to power us through the playoffs, and out of Duke, love this guy. Awesome player. Congrats to him. 14 points per game throughout his career, 1.2 steals, pretty much the same numbers as Vanderbilt's. Good defensive player and a better offensive player than Vando. And congrats on retirement after 17 seasons, sir. You have got to be joking. How can I override this? There has to be a way. This is not canon, folks. This is not canon. This dude is not a Hall of Famer. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here, you absolute buffoon. There's no way you should be here. Absolute joke. That's a joke. And with pick 32 in the draft, we selected point guard Sebastian Knox, who actually has a bit of skill. He is a pretty decent scorer. Defense needs some work, but he's got B+ potential and could really be kind of the future point guard of this team down the line once Hallie retires. And as I said, I think it's worth trading Todd Graves, and we have a good deal right here from BJ Cooper, Judd Copeland, and Will Wesley, both young players coming off rookie seasons. Copeland, 10 points per game last year, shot 43% from the field, 6'4", shooting guard, can also play point. And then also Will Wesley, a 19-year-old center, coming off a year where he dropped 9 and 9 in his rookie year. Could be a great backup to Don Payne. I'm making this deal right now. BJ Cooper wants to bring back Todd Graves. He's welcome to it. Good luck over there, sir. Good luck as a starter. Seriously. And after that big trade, giving away Todd Graves over to Portland with BJ Cooper, we bring in a couple of different players as well to round out the roster. Those would be Lawrence Hall on a 1-year, $4 million deal, Rixie Dugonix on a 1-year vet minimum contract, and then Horace Rivers has returned finally to Vancouver on a 2-year, $10 million deal to pretty much be moral support and just let him retire as a Vancouver Woodsman. And for player progression, brief look here, not too much going on here, but a couple of players definitely losing some of their skill. And the game plan going into the next season would be Halliburton, Carney, Anderson, Leftos, and Don Payne starting, with Best, Copeland, Knox, Wesley, and Malachi Branham off of the bench. And during this year also, we do decide to extend both Anderson and Halliburton 2 extensions. A 4-year deal for Anderson and a 3-year deal for Halliburton. Both guys wanted a bit less money than they're currently making, which will help us out in the cap space. and they both would also make the All-Star game playing on the same team for Team Devin Hayward. By the end of this season, we ended up going 58-24, securing the 2 seed by a 10-game margin, but we were 4 games back from the Utah Jazz, led by Devin Hayward. During this season, it was Joel Carney once again leading our team in scoring, and this is kind of the first sign of the decline of Anderson. It's his first time going below 20 points since I believe his rookie season, with only 18 points per game and 75 games played on the year. Halliburton ends up going for about 13 and 6 or 7, so his numbers also kind of dwindling, and Don Payne's numbers also could go down to about 7 and 10 on the year as well. And for the playoffs, we are going to lower the bench depth back down to 8 before they even start. Gonna rebuild the rotations, and there we go. A lot more to our starters. Carney's still out with the injury. I think he has a broken toe of some kind as of right now. Can't actually see the injury, I think. Body health, left hand fracture, 2 to 4 weeks. So he's going to be out for a little while. We can finally jump in onto year 14 in the playoffs. I believe this is year 2035, I want to say. I mean, I just saw the stats. I should really know this. Let's go take a look. This is 2036. 2036, that's the year. So, here we go. First round against Dallas. Last time as the 2 seed, we lost in this first round due to injuries, but will it happen again? Maybe, because we just lost the other starting shooting guard. We do win in 6, though, and we're going to face the Kings again in the second round. Let's see what happens against Sylvester McNeil, who I believe is still over there in Sacramento. And it does look like he is at a 95 overall, along with Austin Hollins. Yeah, this guy's an absolute stud still. In year 7, Austin Hollins now in year 6. Did not get re-signed in Phoenix and left to go to Sacramento a couple years ago. They also got Kirk Hollins as well. Maybe they're brothers or something. He's in his 3rd season. He's very good as well. 20 and 12 this past year. What the heck? This guy's amazing. They have a really nice trio core right there. This could be a pretty tough series. And they sweep us. What? The Kings just mollywopped us. I don't even want to see these numbers. Will Wesley, 24 and 12 in game 1. Copeland, 19. Anderson, 17. Halliburton, double figures. What the heck happened, though? McNeil, 37, 6 and 11. Hollins, 24. Kirk Collins, a double-double. In game 2, McNeil, 27, 7 and 13. By the way, game 1 was a 4-point loss. Game 2 was a 4-point loss. Austin Hollins drops 25. The Woodsmen got 18 for Halliburton, 17 for Leftos. Anderson just can't find the bucket right now. Has barely scored above 20 in these playoff games, to be honest. Game 3, another close loss. These are all close losses, man. 25 and 12 for McNeil. Both Hollins step up once again. 25 this time for Anderson, 23 for Judd Copeland. But we never even gave Carney a chance to come back, and so another injury that we can't overcome. Maybe the Kings had guys hurt this year and then they came back, because how the heck were they the 60 with this roster? Those 3 guys were an absolute stud trio core right there. A lot of guys for us are trying to help out, but it's just not enough. In game 4, that was the blowout. They just absolutely just killed us in that second half when we were leading at halftime by 1. They kill us in the second half. Anderson drops 24. Halliburton 16 and 10. Not getting the same stuff as we used to. They're just showing off their age a bit more. And Sylvester McNeil was still pretty young. 39, 9 and 10. A board shy of a triple-double. Austin Hollins drops 36. Jesus Christ. The Kings are absurd. And they also beat the Spurs in round 1, who were the 3 seed. And they're about to take down the 1 seed and the Jazz as well. Let's see what happens here after we check some of the stats for us. But unfortunately, no playoff stats for Joel Carney. Our season ends in round 2 in a sweep. Well, here you go, your playoff stats for you. Anderson drops 21.7 points per game. He shot the ball extremely well, but just wasn't shooting. 3-pointers were less than you expect, but I mean, he was still taking plenty of shots a game, I feel like, but somehow just didn't score as much. Not sure how that makes much sense. We'll sim to the end. It's in the playoffs. Utah sweeps them. Cade Cunningham wins ECF MVP. Devin Hayward wins WCF MVP, and now it's a Jazz Pistons finals. Wow, could you ever imagine this? Holy cow. This day and age, the Utah Jazz win the championship in 6 games behind Devin Hayward, the next GOAT. 32.5 points per game through 6 games, 10 assists, 7 boards, 1 steal, 1 block, 50% from the field, 41% from beyond the arc, and 39 badges. This guy is an absolute phenom. He's a phenom. He's the next coming of Christ. That's absurd, man. But through 4 years with Jamal Campbell, 3 60-22 seasons, 1 championship, a 58-24 season, and we had a first-round loss, a second-round loss. We had a finals loss, I believe, or maybe that was a WCF loss, and then also a finals win. So all in all, pretty good first 4 years for Jamal Campbell. I'm going to try and bring him back as a head coach, but you can't really re-sign staff. You have to wait for the contract to fully expire before you give them another offer. So I'm going to try and do that for sure. And BJ Cooper, our former head coach who gave us 2 titles, has retired as well. It says that he was the head coach of the Woodsmen, but I think that's just because he spent most of his career with us, I think, as the head coach. But he has retired, and you know what? He had a great career. 2 rings with us at the very least. Not sure if he won rings anywhere else before he came on board, but at least 2 championships, and awesome career, great head coach, awesome success with him with us, and yeah, salute to him. Portland just took her head coach again. Jamal Campbell is heading to Portland to replace BJ Cooper. Why are they doing this to me? And Mark Hammonds is going to become our new head coach. 4-year deal. He was the assistant for a while, but now he's finally here fully. Welcome to the coaching staff as the head coach, Mr. Hammonds. With pick 30, the Woodsmen took Francis Fuller, the point guard, out of Kentucky. Let's check his grades real quick. 72 overall. Got a couple badges with him as well, which is nice. Got 3 of them. And he's a pretty good 3-point shooter, good playmaker, but only see potential. We're going to accept the team options for both Copeland and Just Patrick. Our first moves this year were to bring back 2 of our young players. Leftos Patsy signs a 5-year extension worth $63 million, about $11 million in salary, or a bit less than that, to return to the team. So he's locked down for long term, and so is Will Wesley, who is going to be the eventual Don Payne replacement, I believe. 4 years, $72 million, both guys under contract for a long time. We also brought Garrison Best back on a 2-year, $16 million contract as well. And we also signed Abraham Moreland as the kind of Malachi Branham replacement for a 2-year, $11 million deal. And our final signing is to bring in Cecil Arnold as our 3rd center. And now another brief look at the player progression going into next season. You can see that our veteran core is definitely starting to see a lot more decline, especially this year, as all 4 of them, Anderson, Halliburton, Carney, and Payne, all are getting worse. But all 4 will still be starters along with Leftos here in the next season. We got Wesley, Copeland, and a couple other guys off the bench as well. Anderson ends up once again making the All-Star game. He was the only player for us this year, but he makes it for the 8th time in his career. This season, Carney and Payne are also up to the table for getting more extensions, and both guys want a lot less money than they're currently making, so another kind of ease on the cap space. So we're going to get these deals done to tack on a few more years to their contracts, and we do re-sign Carney and Payne to 2-year contract extensions for both players. This year we go 51-31 once again as the 2 seed, 5 games back from the Pelicans and 1 game ahead of the Utah Jazz. Carney drops 20 points per game this year as he is also going to start declining. Anderson down to just below 18 points per game this year, but still shot very, very well. Halliburton down to only 11 points per game and just keeps on playing less minutes a game, even though he is the starting point guard, which makes no sense to me. Not sure how that is even happening. But Payne down there also down to about, I want to say 6 and 9, as his numbers are going to continue to dip. And it's kind of downhill from here, to be honest, guys. Before the playoffs start, we're going to switch our bench depth back to 8 and redo these rotations. There we go. A lot more minutes to our starters. You'll love to see that. Our first round opponent in this season is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we are going to get all the way through this series, doing it game by game. Carney has a right finger hairline fracture day to day, but he's going to be all right. He can play through that, I believe, or at least will come back at some point, I hope. But through the first couple of games, Carney does come back. Minnesota ties things up at 2 games apiece. But then Minnesota takes Game 5 to go up in the series. And here is the last couple of minutes of Game 6, which we win pretty handily, winning by 25 points to force a Game 7. And that is where we jump in with a score of 93-85, 101 to go. Vancouver down by 8. Wesley inbounds to Carney, wide open for a corner 3, which he'll knock down. That will give us some life. We've got 8 more threes, and we have shot horribly, apparently. How are we losing this game, man? Come on. Patrick scores again. It's the same play as last time, Payne. Man, who's this Patrick guy? Can we get the ball to number 5? The guy who can actually shoot on this team. Come on. We're taking way too long. There he is. Open 3. And it's good. You see what I mean, fellas? Come on. We can still do this. 4-point game. We don't have to... Actually, we do have to foul. Actually, I'm completely capping. We do have to foul, actually. We sure do. But if we don't score this next possession, it's game over. We got to hit 3s upon 3s. Ant goes 2 for 2. 6-point game. Halliburton brings it up. Off the screen from Wesley. He won't fire. He'll go to Carney instead. His 3 is up. And it's good! 3-point game. Okay, we have life. We're still in this. It's not over yet. Just keep doing that. We're going to send Edwards back to the line. He's going to hit both, most likely. We're going to have to hit, 3 threes in a row if they hit all their free throws for a tie game by the end of regulation. I believe that's how that math checks out. So that's the game plan now. We're taking so much time here. We've taken already 10 seconds off the clock. Carney again. Got it! We just wasted way too much time right there. 2-point game, but it's not going to matter unless we force a turnover, which we don't. We can only hope that Shepard misses one of these and gives us a last chance to force overtime. The first one is good. This one might be the game ender right here. He missed it, but we let Zion get the board. Will Wesley. Are you kidding me, dude? Are you kidding me? That was the chance, and you blew it. You absolute blockhead. That's it. That's the season. Year 15's over. What are we doing here, man? It's over. Another Game 7 loss. Minnesota's moving on. Minnesota moves on. All we can do now is check the stats from this past playoff run. In these 7 games, who did what? 22 for Anderson, 22 for Carney, 19.7 for Copeland. He did not play. I mean, was he hurt in this last game? I forget. I don't think he was. Utah sweeps Minnesota. And then San Antonio ends up reaching the finals. behind Travis Ellis as the WCF MVP. And Judd Mullen in Toronto is the ECF MVP. One of the recent top draft picks. It's Spurs Raptors. Could the Spurs get there first without Calvin Gordon? Because they never won with him. And I think he's still ringless, actually, which is heartbreaking for him. But the Spurs do win. It's their first championship of the series. And Calvin Gordon's not on the roster. Travis Ellis, former Dallas Maverick, wins Finals MVP. Similar numbers as to Halliburton's when he won his 2 times. So very similar players. He has grown to a really strong player with 40 badges. Man, that's crazy. Why can't Anderson get 40 badges, bro? He had like 20 his whole life. He couldn't get more than that? Like a 90 overall? Okay, dude. Okay. I see how it is. In our 15th offseason, we once again take a point guard for, I believe, the 3rd straight season, kind of like what the power forwards earlier in the long-term sim. So we keep drafting the kind of same positions for no reason, but Greg Nelson is a pretty good player on offense especially, but with B- potential, not a whole lot of room to grow, really, for him. Our signings this year were to bring in Jacques Sene, Reed Sullivan, and Ray Kelly to round out the roster. And that was kind of it. Player progression really took a massive hit on the roster this year as well. And we are starting to turn into not one of the best teams in the league any longer. So going into year 16, Halliburton, Carney, Anderson, Payne still starting with Jackson now in there at power forward. Wesley knocks and other guys off the bench. Leftos there too. Anderson does make the All-Star game once again. His 9th time being in this contest. And we end up with a record of 54-28 to actually lead the Western Conference. The next best team was the Lakers, 6 games back from us. So we were kind of in full control, but not with, too great of a record, but still a pretty solid record compared to what we've done in years past. Carney ends up dropping 20 points per game. Sebastian Knox second on the team, but he is out for the year with a dislocated right patella. Anderson down to 16 points per game with Halliburton at 13 and 7. Don Payne down to 6 and 10 again. And those are your season stats. Oh no. Our first round opponent is the Utah Jazz. And guess who they have? Wait. Who's Frederick Gilmore? Where's Devin Hayward? Wait. Where is Devin Hayward? Is he hurt or is he on a different team? Oh, he's on the he's on the Lakers now. Gotcha. He left for the Lakers. Okay. So he left for the Lakers and the Jazz just immediately brought in another 90 overall point guard, Frederick Gilmore, who's been there behind Hayward the whole time. Wow, that is insane. The Jazz are crazy for that. Well, that's who we faced round 1. And for some reason, we have Garrison Best starting over Halliburton. Why is that the case? Why? Why would you do that? At first, I got to change it back to bench up to 8. But what the heck are we doing here? Why would you start him? That makes no sense. No sense at all. But there we go. It's all fixed now. 8-man lineup against Utah. And this first round series against Utah would go to 7 games, and we blow them out in game 7 to punch our ticket to the next round. We almost got upset in the first round as the 1 seed, so that was scary stuff. But we do come out on top. Carney drops 30 in the closeout game. Halliburton with 23 and 12. Anderson 18 points. Really solid day. Everybody scores in double figures except for Don Payne, who puts up 4. But great day overall. We absolutely bludgeon the crap out of the Jazz. And we're going to face San Antonio once again in the second round. And here is what their roster looks like. They've got Travis Ellis at point guard, Keldon Wright beside him, Julio Haywood now over in San Antonio, Jabari Smith still here, but he has regressed pretty significantly. Mark Williams is now the starting center, and a decent roster, but not as good as in years past. All right, in the second round, game 1 against the Spurs. It is a home game, obviously. There are way too many injuries, man. I have noticed this, but when I have simmed the entire season, there have been so many more injuries than when we have watched games. Like way, way, way more. Like it is actually insane how many more there are. And I changed nothing. I didn't change any settings at all in terms of like injury sliders or anything. So I'm not sure why that happened or what's going on there. But we're looking pretty good here in the first half. We took the lead in the second. It's a back and forth third quarter. Really close game right now. No telling who's going to come out on top. It's back and forth. Trading buckets, trading leads. The Spurs are holding on right now. We're falling behind, but then we take the lead in the last couple of moments. The Spurs take it back, and we come out on top, 117 to 116. That had to have been like some kind of buzzer beater or something. But 117 to 116, the Woodsmen just squeak out a win behind 38 for Carney and 34 for Anderson. Wow, that is awesome. The Spurs got 24 and 13 from Ellis with 20 plus from Wright and Smith, but we come out on top just barely. We shot lights out from three, man. 47%. God damn. Well, there's game one. If that's any indication, this could be a really long, arduous series, but we'll find out as we move along. Game two, still at home. And it looks like the Spurs are going to be in control of this third quarter. We're trying to battle back. And we are battling back. In this fourth quarter, can we take the lead? Does not seem likely. The Spurs are going to hang on to win. 113 to 95. I wouldn't call it a blowout, but Carney drops 31 in the loss. Halliburton drops 18, only 10 for Anderson. That hurts. Wright drops 18. I mean, nobody was great for them. They just had a really well-rounded scoring from all the guys on their team, except for Shepard, I guess. But overall, they played well. You know, whatever. So, tie series through 2. Reed Sullivan's fully healthy. Let's go into game 3. This one's on the road. First quarter, we won. Second quarter, we're barely ahead. In the third, the Spurs jump out in front using a third quarter push to take the lead, but we take it right back. It's back and forth in this fourth quarter now. The Spurs hanging on to a very, very slim lead. It's tied now at 104. We jump ahead. They jump ahead. It's tied again. They jump back ahead, and they are going to hang on to win by 3. 117 to 114 is your final score. Ellis drops 25 and 11. 18 for Smith. The Woodsmen got 39 for Joel Carney on 10 for 25 shooting. 19 for Anderson. Double figures for a lot of players. But, man, just a couple of buckets away. Really a second half comeback. They outscored us by like 9 there. Man, that hurts. Can we please not lose again? I want to get to the finals to end off their careers. But they could still go another 2 years. Who knows? They could retire at any point from like 34 to like 38. They could retire. That's a lot of years, man. A lot of years. Another back and forth contest though here in game 3 or game 4 rather. But the third quarter once again goes the Spurs' way, and they are going to hang on to blow us out by 32. And now we're down 3 games to 1. Jabari Smith drops 32 and 10. Ellis drops 27 and 14. That was we got 25 for Carney, 18 for Anderson. I just don't get why he is not scoring as much when his shooting attributes are still pretty much the same, especially for three-pointers and mid-range jumpers. They're pretty much the same as they were through his peak. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, but he's just not playing as well. I mean, I guess his physicals have gone down by a lot. He's only a C athlete now. That's not going to help out like at all. But I feel like he should be doing a bit better. But now we're down 3 games to 1. We have come back from this team before, from this deficit against this team. But can we do it again in the second round? Let's find out. The first quarter, we come back after a slow start. We take the lead. Second quarter, back and forth. Really tight game. We lead at halftime. third quarter. Can we avoid the Spurs run? No, we can't. How is it every third quarter that they take the lead? They're outscoring us by 20. What is going on here? It ends up being 14, but come on, man. We got to jump in here. 1 point game, 5:25 to go. This could be the end. We got to jump in. And it's Anderson at the line for a 1. This free throw will tie things up if it goes through, which it does. 112. We are back at home in Rogers Arena. I forgot to take off the finals logo. That's my bad. I think I forgot that for all the other series that we jumped into before the finals as well. So that's my bad. But 5 minutes to play. Blocked right there. That was Jacques Sene blocking that shot. Great job to guard Jabari Smith right there. Jacques Sene fades away. That's not a good shot, but Wesley's there on the glass for 2. Great work. Vancouver takes the lead. Ellis out of a shot finds Smith. His 3 is good. The Spurs jump back out in front. That is not their first lead of this game. That is incorrect. Carney to Anderson. His 3 ball answers right back. You're goddamn right it does. 17 fourth quarter points for him. He's doing all he can at like 35 years old to keep us in this series. Haywood, open shot. That one's not going to fall. Joel Carney finds Wesley backdoor. Great cut. And Vancouver leads by 4 now. Travis Ellis, the step back J. That one's good. And Ellis, I had no idea that he would grow into this good of a player. Halliburton. Back out to Anderson. Wide open 3. It's good again. Number 5 is alive. Ellis. Back to Smith. Open 3. He can't respond. It rattles off the rim a couple of different times. All right, just a bit over 2.5 to play. Smart place here. There's the assist for Anderson. Right to Carney at the hoop. Timeout Spurs. Smith at the rim. How did he miss that one? Sene was flat-footed right there. Didn't even try to block that or even go up at all. Horrible miss there by Smith. Halliburton to Anderson for 3 again. He's splashing all day. This is what I was here for. This is why you jump in. Yes, sir. Smith gets the feed down low, and he missed again. Wow. I'm counting down. Halliburton to Anderson. He has to force it. Not going to fall this time, but Wesley's there on the glass for 2, and that's going to be the dagger. A 12-point lead, 96 to go. This game's wrapped. Vancouver scrapes by, winning by 5 in Game 5. It's a 3-2 series. We're not done yet. Anderson was the main reason why we just won this game. Abso-freaking-lutely. He ends up dropping 31 in this fourth quarter comeback as Carney, Halliburton, and Wesley all dropped 20 plus. The Spurs got 38 for Jabari Smith and 27 and 11 from Ellis, but we come out on top. And so we go into Game 6 simcasting down 3-2, and the Spurs end up blowing us out, controlling all of the first 3 quarters. And by that point, it's too late for us to mount a comeback in the fourth, and we end up falling by 22 points. Ellis drops 29, 5, and 7. Terry drops 21. Woodsmen got 26 for Anderson, 18 from Wesley. Halliburton had 15 and 7. Carney shot pretty poorly. And our year's over. Another third quarter spurt by our opponents. And that is it for the season. What about the playoff stats? What do we got? Looks like Carney at 27.5 per game. Anderson 22. Halliburton, 16 points per game, 7 assists. Wesley, 13 and 11. The rest of the guys, we don't really care about that much. Played a little bit, but we missed Sebastian Knox for sure. One of our top scorers during the year. I think our second best scorer behind Carney. And that's the end of the line. San Antonio does not make it to the finals. It's the Mavs instead behind Dyson Daniels. They'll meet up with the Washington Wizards. That might be their first ever appearance here this entire series. And they do come out on top in 7 games over Dallas. Yuri Ostrovsky, one of the top young players in the entire league, takes home the Bill Russell Finals MVP. Rivers has retired. Our first ever draft pick is done. He retires as a 67 overall, played 14 years in the league. Played for us for 2 different stints. One was just because we wanted to have him as like a backup, but the first played for us for 4 years, but never really showed that he could become a main staple of the team. I felt like it wasn't worth it to re-sign him, and I think it was right because his production dropped off considerably after he left our team. Kind of have to force him the ball if you want him to actually score, and even then, sometimes he won't. But he retires. The first ever draft pick in the entire series is done after 14 full seasons. Thomas Copeland also, same draft class as Anderson, so he retires, and he had a really big fall off. Actually, I did not go through this with you guys, but he really fell off after he left Phoenix in 2032. After that, he joined New York. His numbers just kept going down and down and down until they got really bad this past year, and then he was cooked and he was done. Jacques Senay's done, but our guys are still there. I see Hans Meyer has retired. Our first round draft pick this time around was Sidney Cole, another guard out of Sweden this time, 6'5" guy, 22 years old. We took him 30th overall, 73 overall. He's got 1 badge, pretty decent shooter, and also a pretty decent defender coming into the league. So honestly, a pretty good starting place for him, and also B+ potential. Could be a pretty good player if he matches up to what people say he's going to match up to. Meanwhile, we do accept the team options for point guards Francis Fuller and Sebastian Knox. And skipping free agency, here's the player progression. Again, a lot of guys going down, especially our veteran players that we know on this team. And we are getting closer and closer to the end of their careers. That takes us to the game plan going into year 17. Going to have Halliburton, Carney, Anderson starts. Payne will no longer be a starter. I forget if he was last year, but he will not be starting this year. It's going to be Will Wesley's job to take over. So we're down to pretty much 3 players that we know that are going to get actual good playing time. Payne is not going to be really playing a whole lot, about 20 minutes a game, and that's probably going to be one of his last years getting anywhere near that much time. In the All-Star break, Anderson does make his 10th All-Star game. Halliburton does miss out, unfortunately, but we do end up extending him to a 1-year contract. He wants even less money than he's making right now, and he is going further and further down in overall, so that it only makes sense, but I want him to retire as a Woodsman, and so that is the plan here with this re-signing. We end up going 42-40 in year 17, and really it's because we were a really bad road team, and the offense just has taken a huge step back because our veterans are still starting, but they're just not as good as they once were, and so the offense was way worse because of it. We still shot well from 3, and we passed the ball pretty well, but overall, shooting-wise, the field goal percentage for the team was a lot lower than in years past. And this would lead us to a play-in tournament appearance where we would win our first game, but then lose against the Grizzlies. So in the first play-in game against Phoenix, Blackman drops 24 for them. We got 31 for Anderson, 20 for Sebastian Knox, 19 for Francis Fuller, 16 for Carney, and 12 for Tyrese Halliburton. And we won that game. Then we lost to Memphis in the game to secure the 8 seed. And Knox had 17. Anderson had 15. Leftos had 14, 6, and 5. Halliburton 12. And we got blown out. We got smoked, especially in that second half. And our year once again comes to an end. Let's go just look at the yearly stats real briefly. Not going to bother with any of the postseason stats. But apparently Anderson got hurt during that second game. And he played every game this year. 18 points per game. He led the entire team. Carney has significantly regressed these last couple of seasons, as we've seen in player progression. Sebastian Knox continues to be a pretty key player on this roster. And I think with him, Greg Nelson, Francis Fuller, Wesley, you kind of have a pretty decent starting place for the future of the team once Anderson, Carney, Halliburton all leave, which this could be the moment coming up here. But that's your stats for this season. And I guess we can just move forward. So in the playoffs, what happens? Well, it ends up being the Bulls and Rockets in the finals here in 2039. So who comes out on top? It's going to be the Rockets sweeping the Bulls behind Eddie Hayward. 22 points per game, 7 assists. Shot very well. In our 17th offseason, no big retirements to make note of that are really important to us. So our players are still here. I think Halliburton's going to be 40 years old going into next season. And we end up drafting a power forward, Keith Burke, with the 15th overall pick. 75 overall, no badges. And he can score, he can play defense. We'll see what he can bring to the team, but we're not going to see a whole lot of him. And he's only got C+ potential. You pick up more team options for point guards Greg Nelson and Francis Fuller. And another look here at some promising stuff from some of the younger players on the team. But once again, Anderson, Halliburton, Carney all taking huge dips now the rest of the way, especially this year with Halliburton going down to a 76 and Carney all the way down to a 73 already. But all three guys will still start going into year 18. Don Payne will kind of be a backup this year. Unfortunately, he just is no longer good enough to really make the rotation. We end up getting all-star appearance number 11 for Anderson, racking those up year after year. I love to see that. And we do also give extensions to several of those veteran players because they all should really retire as Woodsmen players if they want to re-sign. And so they do, and so I want them to re-sign as well. So we give out deals to Anderson for 2 more seasons, Halliburton for 1, and we give one to Joel Carney as well for another year or 2. And Don Payne also gets one to be kind of moral support off the bench as well. And if last year was not a sign of the decline of this team, then this year sure is, as we went 36 and 46 in another year with Mark Hammonds as the head coach. We were better at home than away, but the offense was somehow worse than last year. Shooting worse from the field, worse from 3, rebounding worse, passing the ball worse. Everything was worse this time around. And here in the stats for this year, you can see that just these players just probably aren't starting caliber besides Anderson now. Carney might have to be a guy that comes off the bench going forward if he does not stop his regression. Because Anderson drops about 15.5 a game. Carney drops 15. But for some reason, both of their minutes per game are kind of dipping, which makes no sense. Like to play 25 minutes a game. I mean, come on, he's still like at 84 overall, and Anderson is, so that makes no sense to me. But Carney shot poorly this year, 40% from the field. Halliburton shot poorly, 37% from the field, and he's also hurt right now. And he only averaged about 10 and 5. So just we're kind of going through the motions here, just waiting for these guys to retire before the next era starts for the Woodsmen. But it's not going to start until all of these guys are gone. It ends up being the Mavericks and Wizards meeting up in the finals, and Sebastian Knox actually won ECF or WCF MVP because he's in Dallas now because the CPU for us chose not to match the Mavericks offer sheet for him, so now he's their starting point guard, and now they're in the finals. And they do lose in 5 to the Wizards, who have now won another championship behind Yuri Ostrovsky. And so we go into the 18th offseason, starting off with a couple of player retirements. Alex Barker has retired, but guess what? There's nobody for us that we actually care about that's on this list. And I'm confused because if you look right here, Halliburton's jersey has been retired. He's still on roster. He did not retire, but we have already retired his jersey while he's in the league. That makes no sense at all. But, I mean, it was going to happen when he does retire. So I guess because he's 40 years old, they said, screw it, we're just going to do it right now. He's already a dinosaur. Now, usually I would consider this to be the end of his career if his number has been retired. But I think I'm going to wait until he gets in the Hall of Fame because he is a Hall of Fame point guard. Anderson is obviously a Hall of Fame shooting guard / small forward. So once I see their names in the Hall of Fame section, that is when I will end the series. Once we see Anderson's name on there, that's when we're going to call it quits here. Because I think there's some kind of glitch going on now with our team. But they should still show up in the Hall of Fame if we get to that point at some point. In the draft, though, we did have the 3rd overall pick, and we took the kind of Don Payne replacement, Stuart Atkins. 79 overall center, 2 badges, 21 years old, 6'11 guy. And he can score down low, he can shoot a little bit, and he's a really good post defender and rebounder. So that B- potential kind of hurts, but he's still a solid player. And briefly, another look at player progression as we are about to field one of the worst teams in the entire league going into year 19. But Halliburton, Anderson still starting with a couple of other players that we don't really know about. Carney's going to play. Actually, no, Carney and Payne are both going to be in the reserves now. Okay. Anderson once again makes his 12th All-Star game, but I think it's mostly because he's just kind of a legend of the sport now. Not necessarily because he's been All-Star worthy this year, because his numbers keep on dipping, folks. And because they still have not retired, we give more extensions to Tyrese Halliburton, Joel Carney, and Don Payne. Going to bring all 3 guys back on 1-year contracts to make sure that they don't retire with somebody else. And although Stuart Atkins did make the all-rookie first team, the Woodsmen once again had a down year, going only 40-42. We did make the play-in tournament as the 7th seed, and we did actually win in the play-in tournament. We won our first game against the Trailblazers to punch our ticket into the playoffs. In the play-in tourney win, Anderson drops 18 points, and he was the only guy that we actually know of that we know on this team, really. So that's what we're going to focus on. He drops 18 points in this game over Portland and against Giannis Antetokounmpo Jr., of all players. But we make the playoffs as the 7th seed facing the 2 seed Timberwolves in the first round. And I'm just going to send through this first one. I have jumped in way too much. I've already recorded like 8 hours worth of content. So I'm just trying to wrap this one up. We've gotten a lot of clips for Anderson to end off this episode. So I feel good about that. And we're going to sim this first round. And we do take game 1. Minnesota takes game 2. Then they take game 3. We take game 4. We take game 5 and 6. And we actually punch our ticket into the next round, upsetting the 2 seed Timberwolves. So here are the box scores. Here's game 1, which went into overtime. Anderson only had 4 points in about 30 minutes of action as a starter. And he only took 6 shots. Everybody else kind of took shots away from him. In game 2, he drops 15. In game 3, he had 14 points. In game 4, 15 points, 6 for 12 from the field. In game 5, he had 27 points. Hell yeah, 8 for 12 from the field. Love seeing that. And in game 6, the closeout game, he had 13 points on 5 for 16 shooting. We get to the second round. Now we're facing the Lakers as the 3 seed. They take games 1 and 2. We take game 3. And we get knocked out in 6 games by the Lakers. So what happened here? In game 1, Anderson drops 31 despite the loss, 9 for 16 from the field. And game 2, Halliburton drops 24, leaving his first game back. Anderson, or not his first game back, actually. Let's go back to game 1 because I think Halliburton played in there in that one too. Yeah, he had 12 and 6 in that one. In game 2, 24 for him, 10 for Anderson. In game 3, it was Anderson dropping 24 on only 1 missed shot. Halliburton had 10 points off the bench. In game 4, Anderson drops 27, having a great series against these Lakers. Halliburton had 11 off the bench and plenty of minutes. Game 5, Anderson drops 23. Halliburton drops double figures. We take this one. But game 6, the Lakers close us out as Anderson drops 17 points. In this one, Halliburton drops 6 and 7. And that is the end of the season. During this 40 and 42 regular season, this is what our players did. Greg Nelson led us in scoring. Anderson drops to just below 15 points per game on 44% shooting from the field. Joel Carney shot horribly. Halliburton did not shoot well at all. And another year of decline. In the playoffs, though, Anderson did step things up and ends up scoring 18 points per game, shooting much better, around 48%. Huge upgrade compared to what he did during the regular season. Meanwhile, Carney did not really play during this playoff run. Halliburton did, and he averaged about 11 and 5 and shot better as well. In year 19, it is a Lakers-Heat finals matchup. Going all the way back to what a lot of people call the Mickey Mouse ring back during that one COVID season. I don't call it that, but I'm going to simulate this one, and the Heat take it in 6, 4-2 behind Kirk Hollins. July 3rd, 2041, player retirements. I don't see anybody on here that is on our team. How is Halliburton still in the league at like 42 years old? Is there a glitch with the team? I don't know what's going on here. Why have they not retired? Wait! Halliburton is now in the Hall of Fame. Can he just not retire? What is going on here? What? Tyrese Halliburton is now in the Hall of Fame, but he's still on the roster. I'm so confused. But I guess he's in the Hall of Fame? 1,537 games played in his career. And over those years, he averaged 16 points per game, 3.2 rebounds per game, 8.1 assists, 1.4 steals, 0.4 blocks. Never won MVP, but had 4 All-Star appearances. He won 4 NBA championships, 3 of those with us. Won both of his finals MVPs with us, of course. Did not make any All-NBA teams, unfortunately. He did make the All-Rookie First Team. And those are his accolades. Let's take one last look at him. Even though he's still on our team and he's not retired, actually. But again, 4-time NBA champion, 4-time All-Star, first team All-Rookie. He's been with us for quite some time now. He's had a great career. And he is a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. And Vancouver's where he wants to be. I have no idea if these numbers are going to be updated, but Halliburton ends up with 24,616 total points in his career. And that is good for 58th all-time. So that's for points. And he ends up being top 5 all-time in assists in a career. 12,410. Just a couple thousand behind Stockton. Nobody's even gotten to 13,000 besides him. But top 5 all-time above Chris Paul and Jason Kidd. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. What a franchise legend. Well, what just a huge league legend. One of the best point guards of all time. And by the way, Jared Vanderbilt, 1,486 steals in his career. was good for 82nd all-time. I forgot to look at this, but yeah, he was awesome. That's more than Calvin Gordon as of right now as well, but I imagine Gordon might pass him. So despite Halliburton having retired his number and being in the Hall of Fame this year, he's still on the roster technically, but I do have updated numbers at the end of the episode for his final career tallies for a couple of different things, for a couple of other players as well. But he's still here as Anderson goes up to 39 years old and drops down below 80 overall for the first time. He would miss the All-Star game during this next season, but Stuart Atkins would make it, and we would obviously give him Halliburton, Don Payne extensions just in case Halliburton actually does retire this year, and hopefully Don Payne and Anderson do at the same time so we can wrap it up and have a nice bow on the end of things. But this was a year to forget for the Woodsmen because we end up going, despite having a all-rookie second-team player in Jesse Roberts, who was a second-round pick and is actually pretty decent. We went 25-57 with the worst record in the entire NBA. It was bad. The team continues to get worse as we kind of enter a rebuild phase. But stats for Anderson, he averaged about 24 points per game, started most games on the season, and had about 14 points per game on 42% from the field. While Halliburton had about 8 and 4.6 and shot only 38%. Nobody ends up retiring in the 20th offseason, so we jump all the way to player progression, and Stuart Atkins does make a big jump up to 84 as Anderson falls down to 77, and Halliburton's not even in the top 10, 11 players on the roster any longer. So you can see here that we still have a really horrible roster. And we still have Halliburton, Anderson, and Don Payne on this team. And I believe Carney wanted to not re-sign this past year, so he's not on the roster, but he did not sign to a team, so he's not rostered currently. And jumping all the way to the end of year 21, we somehow were even worse. And we're still last place. A 20-62 record. We're just complete bottom feeders now. We can't shoot, can't pass, can't rebound. And the CPU has done a horrible job of re-signing players after their rookie deals expire. I did hand that part off to the CPU, but they haven't done a good job of making those moves happen. So that's why a couple players have not returned to the team that you've seen be kind of promising young players. And yeah, just a horrible season. And the Heat and Minnesota Timberwolves meet up in the finals. And this time it's Minnesota winning in 7 over Miami behind Frederick Gilmore, who's now over there in Minnesota. But player retirements, not only has Calvin Gordon retired, but Don Payne has retired as well. Finally, I see Joel Carney on there too. I don't see Tyrese Halliburton, despite him saying that he was going to. But Don Payne has officially retired. I don't think he'll be in the Hall of Fame. But let's look at his career stats. He ends up averaging 9 points per game, 3 offensive rebounds per game, 10.7 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1.5 blocks, 48% from the field, 26 from 3, 53 at the charity stripe, and 28 minutes a game. He was an absolute fiend. He ends up going for 9,553 points, 11,000 rebounds, 1,000 assists, over 1,100 steals, 1,500 blocks. Yeah, he was awesome. What a player. One of my favorites of the series and a fan favorite as well. Won the finals MVP. You can see his awards in here as well. Award history. 3-time NBA champion. His entire career spent in Vancouver across all 17 years. 2-time first-team all-defense. 1-time rookie of the year. And first-team all-rookie as well. Probably should have won DPOY a couple of different times, but we don't got to talk about that. At least he made the first-team all-defense a couple of times. But what a great career for Don Payne. We'll see how he measures up in terms of overall blocks in a career, but I don't think he actually is going to be very high on that list, to be honest with you. But Calvin Gordon retires as a Trailblazer. That's pretty interesting. Joe Carney has also retired as well. He spent all of his career, except for one, with Vancouver, played 15 total seasons, 3-time NBA champion with us, most improved player back in 2031. Out of Oregon State, he was taken at pick 21 in that draft. And in his career, he actually was not even on a team this past season, so his entire career was spent in Vancouver. You love to see it. He averaged just below 19 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 3 assists, 1 steal, 46% from the field, 42% from beyond the arc, and 94 at the charity stripe in 26 minutes of action. In terms of his totals, he ends up going for 18,700 points, over 3,000 rebounds, over 3,000 assists, 127 steals. He was also a really solid player for us, one of our better shooters, and just a really fun player to watch in a lot of moments, you know. So he's gone. Again, I don't see Halliburton here, but that's because I think he's already technically has retired. Is he still on the roster though? That's the real question. Is he still on the roster? Yes, he is. Halliburton's still on the roster, but Payne is not. That makes sense. Anderson obviously still is not. But great careers for Payne and Carney. And it looks like Calvin Gordon is going to be in the Hall of Fame. And they do have Anderson here as well. And he's still on our roster. So we're going to have to get updated numbers for this once he actually retires. But because it has him here, I said I was going to end it. And I really am, because this is the end of his career. He's in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to be considering him a retired player at this stage. He's 41 years old. It only makes sense. So this is it. We end up as the worst team the last 2 years, but that's okay. He and Calvin Gordon retire together. They get their jerseys retired, which at least they should. If they don't, that would be really shocking. But Calvin Gordon, first for him, over 1,300 games played, 21 points per game, 11 boards, 4.4 assists per game, 1 steal, 1.5 blocks, 2-time MVP, 14-time All-Star, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Never won a championship at all, which sucks for him, but made the All-NBA First Team 5 times, the All-NBA Second Team 5 times, the Third Team 3 times, the All-Defense First Team 4 times, the All-Defense Second Team twice. He also won Rookie of the Year and made the All-Rookie First Team as well. So an absolutely just incredible career. Maybe a top 10, 15 player of all time, to be honest with you. But he retires at age 36. And really good career for him. One of our main rivals, or pretty much the main rival of the series, was Calvin Gordon. So here are his totals: over 28,000 points in his career, just below 15,000 rebounds, just below 6,000 assists, over 2,000 blocks, way more than Don Payne had, which is like 1,500. But he had a fantastic career. And then Simon Anderson, the GOAT of the series, the staple of the Vancouver Woodsmen. When you think of them, you think of him. So he enters the Hall of Fame in 2043. His entire career spent with the Woodsmen. 1,520 games played, 20.2 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game, 1 steal, 1 block. Never won MVP, but made the All-Star game at 12 different times, and also won 3 NBA titles with the Vancouver Woodsmen. He made the All-NBA Second Team once, the All-NBA Third Team once, and he also won Rookie of the Year and made the All-Rookie First Team in his first season. So, Anderson, what are his totals looking like? You already know his averages. Here's his yearly breakdown of his career as the year goes on. Just an absolutely incredible peak. And he was great until he retired, to be quite honest with you. This past year, he did average only 11 points per game, but that's okay. His totals look like this. He shot 47% from the field, and 43% from beyond the arc in his career, and 95 at the line, and 31 minutes of action per game. An absolutely stellar career. He finishes with 30,712 points, 6,086 rebounds, 5,292 assists, 1,276 steals, and 1,100 blocks across 19 full seasons. Nearly a 20-year career, just shy of LeBron's mark as of right now by a year or two, but absolutely incredible career. He made just below 5,000 threes on over 11,500 attempts, took over 22,500 shots in his career, and made just below 11,000 of them. And he was elite at the charity stripe. We know that much. He made 4,200 out of 4,400. He played over 46,000 minutes in his career. Started 1,517 games. Played in 1,520. Had 30 double-doubles. Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic. And by the way, Don Payne had 326 double-doubles and 1,036 games played. That is really, really good. And because we're going to stop here, we also know that Halliburton had 431 double-doubles across 1,600 games played. He had one triple-double in his career. But now it's time for the jersey to be retired. And Anderson and Carney both get theirs. Don Payne doesn't, but he really should. But Anderson does. 19 years with Vancouver. Number 5 has been retired. Number 0 has been retired. And number 7 with Joel Carney has also been retired for the Woodsmen. He played for us for 16 years and was in the league for 17, but did not really play this past year, so that doesn't really count. So 16 years for Carney, all of them in Vancouver. These two guys were absolute studs for us, the absolute go-to scorers for this team. Huge contributions, and you would have to imagine that Don Payne would also have to get his number retired as well, right? Number 39, like, I can't make it happen, but I'm going to consider his number also retired, while Calvin Gordon gets his for the Celtics and for the Spurs retired as well. So if you add Don Payne to this list, then you would have 4 jersey numbers retired so far in the history of the team. And for total points in a career, Anderson cracks the top 20 with that 30,712 number. Number 19 on the list, surpassing James Harden, just 9 points shy of Nikola Jokic, but he's up there with a bunch of legends because he is one himself. Anderson, one of the storied names, even more points than Steph Curry scored in his career. That is how good Anderson was. In terms of field goals made, Halliburton checks in at number 58 on this list, while Anderson is number 23 all-time in field goals made with 10,774. So those two guys crack the top 100. That's amazing. And they are, of course, both top 10 in three-pointers made in a career. Anderson at number 8 with 4,965, and Halliburton at 10 with 4,693. That is awesome. 2 of the top three-point shooters of all time. For free throws made, Anderson hit just below 4,200 and checks in at number 86 all-time. Meanwhile, Don Payne checks in at number 45 in rebounds in a career with 11,043. And Halliburton ends up with the third most assists in a career with 12,779, just behind John Morant and John Stockton. That is incredible. And with how many blocks we saw him get, you damn well know that Payne is also in the top 100 for blocks in a career with 1,544 to get him to number 61 on that list. Halliburton comes in at number 11 in steals in a career with 2,283. So almost top 10, but not quite. Halliburton and Anderson both also cracked the top 20 for minutes in a career. Anderson at 46,590. Halliburton at 47,249. Both guys played almost the most minutes possible. And for the points per game and stuff like that, all of these ones for a career, it's not actually going to have him on this list or any of the players that have not actually retired simply because of this glitch that's going on, but I'm not going to worry about it. Anderson's 3-point percentage in his career was... In his career, he shot 43%, so .429 from beyond the arc, .418, so so 42.9% and 41.8. That would be good enough for just outside the top 20 all time. So right around Kyle Korver and Mao Chung Lee. That's where Anderson would be, right above Seth Curry. And that also means that Carney would be right around here, around Luka and Wesley Person. So around just above 40. And Anderson would be number 2 above Bones Highland for free throw percentage in a career with 95.2%. So right below Darrell Wheeler, but above Bones Highland, good for second all time. That is absolutely incredible. Carney would also be up here as well in the top 10, I'm pretty sure, because he was also in a very similar area. So both guys would be top 10 in free throw percentage. And for rebounds per game, Don Payne's going to be in here somewhere. Top 30, I think. Maybe not. Don Payne, where are you at, pal? Yeah, 10.7 per game, right? 10.7? So he should be up here, but he's not in there for some reason. But for assists per game, Halliburton had like 8. But he's not going to be on here either because he technically has not retired. But he is going to be in here for games played. So games played, Halliburton is number 1 all time. Number 1. While Anderson checks in at number 8 as well. So both guys top 10 in games played in a career. You can't ask for more. You really can't. 40-point games. Is Anderson going to be on this list? I don't think he will. But he had a lot of them. I wonder if he is on here. I'll try and look. He is, with 32, tied for 48th all time. I'll take it. And in terms of 50-point games, he had a handful of them. But mostly were in the playoffs. I don't know if those actually count towards this specific category. And he's definitely not in the top echelon of that. But I'll keep looking for it. He's got at least 3 in the regular season, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not, though. I don't see him on this list yet. There he is with 2. But he had more than 2 if you include the playoffs. But I'm sure most of these players did as well. But 2 50-point games during the regular season. That's good for 55th all time, tied with a bunch of other players. So those were the final stats to go over. And the last thing to do, the final thing that we're going to do is briefly go over the team history. Just briefly look through team records, team history, things like that. But team history right here, 9 division titles, 14 playoff appearances, 5 conference championships, 3 titles, 4 retired numbers if you include Payne. And our last playoff appearance was in 2041. And we used to have the Spurs as a rival on this list. So I think they're just our top rival. And you can just punch those guys in there. But there's your team card for the team history. And in terms of the NBA history, we're going to go from this way all the way back to the... Well, first, let's go with the champions. Past champions. Let's go all the way back to when we started. The first year, I believe, was the 2022-2023 year, I think. No, I think I'm right. When the Warriors won. And then after that, we were all the way just keep on going. But we won in the 28-29 season with Payne as the Finals MVP. And then we won 2 years later in a sweep of the Sound. Halliburton wins MVP there. We make it 2 more years in a row, but lost both to the Nets behind Luka Doncic. We would be back there 2 years later to face off against Gordon and the Celtics, and we take them down in 7 games with Tyrese Halliburton as the finals MVP. And that was the last time that we made the finals. We would not make it for the next pretty much 9 seasons straight. And that's where we are now. In terms of team records, the number 1 player in terms of points scored in a game during the regular season is Joel Carney with that 58-point performance back in 2033. And in the playoffs, Anderson has all 5 on this list, with the top one being 57 points back in 2028. For field goals made in a single game, Anderson tied himself 3 different times to put himself in place as number 1 in the season, but for the playoffs, it is also him with 20. So it's just him on there. For 3-pointers in a game in the year, it is tied between Anderson and Carney with 12 each, with a couple years apart between those ones. In the playoffs, it's Anderson with 12. For free throws, Kevin Love checks in with 14, tied with Anderson. And then in the playoffs, it was Anderson with 14 as well. For rebounds in a game, Don Payne tied himself twice with 27. In the playoffs, that was 26. For assists in a game, it's Tyrese Halliburton dropping 20. Will Hollins also down there with 18 from 2028. But in the playoffs, Halliburton holds all 5. And for blocks, it's still Miles Turner who actually leads this category for us with 8, with Don Payne behind him with 7 a couple different times. In the playoffs, though, it is Don Payne, the sole guy to have 7 blocks in a single playoff game, team record. For steals, it is Will Hollins with 8, and in the playoffs, it's Vando with 7. And so, we are going to leave it right here. 3 NBA championships, 3 Executive of the Year awards, and that is what we have in our trophy showcase. We obviously have a couple more trophies with some finals MVPs, with some WCF championships, but that is the end of the Vancouver Woodsmen franchise, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. It took me a while to record. This episode took me about 9-10 hours worth of footage alone to go through. It took me a long time to get through it, but we do. Hope you guys enjoyed. I tried to get as much of the important details out there as I could, but I did not want to make this video super long like the last one was for the scouts, but I do what I can. But the Vancouver Woodsmen franchise is officially done as of this moment. And so, right now, as a special surprise to all of you who have tuned in, not only for the entire series, but also to the very end of this episode alone, right now, I am going to show you the 2 main logos for the team reveal for the NBA 2K24 MyNBA Expansion team that we're going to be using starting on Friday, September 8th, which is when the first episode will go live for the new 2K series. Without further ado, folks, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts on the series, your thoughts as a whole. Give me some feedback. Give me your thoughts on who your favorite player was and things like that. Who your favorite coach was. All of that fun stuff. Who your favorite draft pick was. All of that stuff. And I will leave you with this image right here.